Hi, everybody, and welcome again to one of our Shoot the Shit episodes. We're doing this twice in a row, which is novel for us, and I can't wait. Last time we were talking about some stuff with Girl by Moonlight. I promise I will post that video to YouTube as soon as we're done here, and I transfer all the stuff over. I am getting a little behind on our updates, but with that in mind, we have a wonderful special topic this week that is near and dear to all of us, but especially my good friend here, Charles. And I imagine his screen's going to change a few times. That's right. That's right. We're talking about the MCDM RPG. And I refuse to call it Draw Steel because it's the MCDM RPG, and that's the name of it. See down below me, MCDM RPG. No, it's called Draw Steel now. They've released a few more playtest packets and a few more things, and we got a lot to go through. So I'm just going to go ahead and just intro us real fast. Hey, no news this week. I'm going to go ahead. My name's James. I show up on this channel sometimes. To my stage right is Charles.
Hi, I'm here. I'm also on this channel sometimes.
Of his own volition. And to his stage right is Philip.
That's me. I'm on this channel quite a lot.
Yeah, definitely more than the two of us.
Yeah, combined.
Like
yeah, for sure.
Every day.
He just sits in here sometimes. You'll see us go live. There's nothing happening. He just has the camera on for no reason. It's crazy, honestly.
Those ones never seem to get uploaded for some reason. I don't know. I think you guys have against me.
It's the weirdest thing. All those files corrupt. It's crazy.
I don't know what it is. It's just the power, right? You know, it just makes me think of the genesis of this channel at all. You know, we were like, we should do more D&D and more people want to run it. And now there's a lot of D&D / tabletop RPGs. And I'm not saying it should stop. No way. No. I'm only in one game. I'm probably about to be in two, so.
Yeah.
And with that.
Speaking of that, though, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say the words until it's time to actually do the verbiage. So this game, produce weapons.
Okay. That's what we're going with? All right. I can't
yeah,
wait.
Well, that's what I'm going with, right? Since I'm going to be the director for the game, first thing to know, it's director, not dungeon master, not storyteller, not producer, not where's some other ones?
Well, GM, but didn't they say GM's okay?
Yeah, they're not going to be mean to you.
So
yeah.
let's talk about that for a second, because I'm pretty sure I overheard this as I was listening to some other podcasts, is that they say it's the director, but also you can just call it the GM, kind of like stepping off their soapbox and being like, it's fine. It's whatever.
It's fine. We're here to have fun, right? If that's as the game master or the director, that's fine. Dungeon master is right out, though. Don't use it.
Yeah.
They didn't say
WotC
that was okay.
will charge us a nickel every time. We'll go bankrupt.
Yeah. Oh.
At least according to the new user license. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
One of the things I noticed when coming up with the names, the City of Mist has the Master of Ceremonies. So it's COM is their title, and once you're running it, you're MOC. Or you can say the MC because it's Master of Ceremonies, so you wouldn't say the O, but it is there.
Yeah. Someone needs to make a game that is DOG, and then, they just reverse that, because that's what a lot of DMs feel like they are anyway.
That's what the G in GM stands for, I thought. But okay.
Right. Yeah.
Just God, man.
God, man.
God mode. I say it happens.
Yeah. Well, what the heck is this game, right?
Ooh.
Okay, so that's the first chapter in the book. That's spoiler. We've talked about this game before, so I didn't really put any notes about it. You probably know what it is. If you do not, this game, the MCDM RPG or Draw Steel, I'm going to say it.
Yay. I was going to say, scribe aluminum. Paint.
I like
Paint metal.
Calligraphy weapons.
I like it. We'll just keep workshopping that over time, and we'll see which one sticks better. And then, we'll just use that. But they have some keywords that they always use to describe it. Tactical, heroic, cinematic, fantasy. they mean things to them and to you, right? Tactical, basically strategy, grid, right? It's happening. Heroic, you're not playing as the bad guys, okay? You can be anti-heroes, but this game is specifically for non-villainous characters. Just to say that. Cinematic, you can see it in your mind. I stole that from a podcast that I listen to all the time where the host goes, in my mind. Anyway. But, you know, kind of the swashbuckling, you can swing from a chandelier and knock someone off a cliff, right?
Yeah.
And then fantasy, I'll just say it as they say it. You know, it's got dragons and stuff.
Dragons and stuff.
Yeah, right. There you go. There are some differences, right? A lot of differences than your normal kind of D&D like D20 system. First and foremost, different characteristics. So I'm not going to start with the dice. I'm going to start with the characteristics because they're characteristics and not ability scores.
Okay.
Because they're not even scores at all. Like, you don't have to do the whole conversion, right? Whatever. So instead of strength, dex, con, and whiz, charisma, we have might, agility, reason, intuition, and presence. Now, I think they did a good job of making them evoke what you think they may be, right? I mean, you know, might is right. Is strength and brawn, right? They kind of slip a little constitution in there, right? It's kind of a strength and constitution ish. Right. There's a lot of like, you need to, an ability will target might or something like that if it would knock you back. Things like that.
I've always felt that it's a little bit goofy that games are like, here's strength and con. And I'm like, okay, so what you're telling me is the big muscly dude is a pushover if you prick him with like a poison thing, or like the person who works out the most and tries to be in the best shape of all the characters can literally have an 18 strength, but like a 6 constitution. I mean, I understand that there's a niche that you can build towards for that, but it's a little bit weird to have them separated out like that because usually they go hand in hand, except for in very special cases.
Yeah. I think that it's kind of, as they're streamlining in some places, when we get the skills, that is the opposite of streamlining, but it's probably okay, I think.
Probably. People like skills.
If you wanted a bunch of skills, you're going to get them.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that this is fine, right? Might, cool. Strength, brawn, how easily you could crush a tomato, how many tomatoes you could eat in one sitting. You can't stop. I'm going to use the tomato analogy. I didn't do it last time.
Intuition, how well you know what that tomato is thinking.
Yes.
And presence, your ability to convince everyone you are a tomato.
Yep, I got you.
I got you covered. Yeah.
That's fine. And, you know, reason is your ability to understand, right? To understand what it is like to be a tomato, right? You can use your education, you can use your logical mind to kind of form this role, right? But it's your force of personality that executes it.
And that's how you use your psionic powers to become a tomato.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Is that the way? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. The only way, right? Yeah. And then there's agility, which, I mean, it's agility, right? It's coordination and nimbleness are 2 words that they use in their description, which kind of gets both of them to me. Coordination for using ranged attacks or being accurate, and nimbleness for getting the hell out of the way. You know, that sort of thing. So that's easy. You know, it's a very easy acronym, right? MERIP. I'm sure they did that on purpose. It makes so much sense.
Yeah, that's.
I don't think that's is that a thing?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm not the only one. I was like,
there's got to be a better one.
Oh yeah, you'd have to scramble them, right? Like, yeah,
it's almost repair.
Yeah, it is almost repair. Yeah. So I mean, it's not like D&D is any better with that. What would it be? Sadiq?
Let's, I think
SDC?
we're fine without.
Okay.
Yeah, let's not.
Sure. Okay. So moving on. Something new in this playtest. First new thing we're going to talk about is potency. So you have your characteristics: might, agility, reason, intuition, presence. They go from -5 to +5. Basically, that's it. You're going to start with an array depending on your class. That usually has the max being 2, right? So it's a very compressed level or score range. It's not 18 that then resolves to a 4 that then you apply, right? That's cool. But they needed some like little scaling something or other, like proficiency from 5th edition. So this is a new thing that they added called potency. It's used in some of your ability stat blocks as a scaling value. What is it? Okay. Basically, when you see potency and you see it says your weak potency, that is your highest characteristic score, might, agility, reason, intuition, or presence, -1. If you had a 2 in agility, lower at everything else, you take that, you -1, that's your weak potency. Your average is just that number, so 2. Your strong is that number +1, 3. Okay. That's just whatever. It's easy to think about.
Sure.
How is it used?
So that ranges us from 3 to 1 to start.
Yeah.
Am I understanding correct? Okay.
Yes. And so it's in the stat blocks. And the first time I saw this, I was like, what the heck does this mean? An ability shows something like R, capital R, in brackets, weak, slowed. So what it actually shows is that, okay, let's say you rolled an 11 or below, a weak result. And it says R, your weak characteristic score, so that's a 1, slowed. What that means is that if the enemy you attacked has a lower reason than 1, they are slowed.
Okay.
Interesting.
So that gives you a little scalar. So on an ability that's just an example, it would say weak result is R weak slowed. Stronger result is R average slowed. Strong result is R strong slowed. So if you think about that, that means if you got a strong result, a 17 plus on your roll to do this ability, then when you look at R strong slowed, anyone who you hit, which you will hit, or who's a target with reason lower than 3 will be slowed. Weird to think about at first, but I think I like it.
Do you know what this works really well with?
What's that?
A virtual tabletop.
Yeah.
It definitely has some good back end math to it. I think I like it, but I would have to see it in practice, because I can say right now that this is going to box out a lot of folks that don't like doing variable math.
Yeah. It's true. Go ahead.
I think once you get connected to it and really understand it, it's gonna have a really cool impact of the heroic aspect that they want to keep, because once you start to level up and your skills get a little higher, you're going to have those higher numbers, so your weak will be even more. You're more likely to hit even with a weak. So if you go back and fight goblins again after a couple levels, well, it shows how powerful you are, rather than just a normal, like maybe like other fantasy games might have, where it actually feels like everything is now slowed to your might.
Yeah, I think it makes you, I mean, we haven't played it, so I don't know if there is anything that is truly sad versus mad, single ability dependent versus multiple ability dependent. I don't believe that that's going to be a thing in here. So I mean, it's going to scale, and it might scale from weapons, well, treasures as they're calling it, or maybe titles or other ways. So it kind of keeps tabs on your power better, maybe, than proficiency. I mean, because proficiency, grows every once in a while. what is it max out at 5?
I think
I
it's
believe so.
6.
Yeah, it's
6?
like that's fine. This will max out at 6. You know, your highest being 5 and then +1. So it's very similar. But I think that in play, it's going to make it much quicker if the character sheet has your weak, average, strong. So you just look over there and say, okay, is there reason below 2? Yep, got him. So there's no roll to resist there.
It's just their
It's a
flat
way,
value
yeah,
against your success rate.
exactly.
So how does
So
this,
it's interesting.
do they do the
Mhm.
same thing? Do the monsters, the enemies, do the same thing against you? Or
Yes, they
do you
can.
have a save essentially?
I believe that they can do the same thing to you. It depends on the ability, right?
Okay.
And like we'll go through a couple of examples because you'll see your abilities and I will go and talk about you know, like some enemies. What if they were to hit you with this, right?
Right.
So we can get into there. But
Sure.
potency is just kind of a scalar that doesn't need as much math. It still scales, right? Another example I had, it's in here, and it's the example that they use, right? If you roll with first level conduits punishing smite ability, has the following roll outcome. You roll your power roll, 2d10, we'll talk about it. Add your intuition, let's say it's 2. If it's 11 or lower, you deal, because you always hit, 3 holy damage, and then A1 prone. Now, this is not using your potency. That straight up says 1. So it's used with potency and also without potency. So this is just straight. It doesn't scale with you. So some abilities have the scalar put in and some don't.
Okay.
So yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, right. So I'm like, okay. So some of them probably signature abilities will scale with you. Probably. I don't know. Um, I'm not entirely sure because that's why I wanted to talk about the non-potency example. That's not going to go up. Is that okay? I guess that's okay. Would I want more of those abilities than the ones that will scale to 5? I don't think I would.
So, but the A stands for agility. So do you get your agility potency
Yes.
on it?
No, it's A1 prone, meaning if they have, so let's say the conduit uses this ability and targets a bandit with an agility score of 1.
Yeah.
Then that first result would only deal holy damage but have no other effect. A tier 2 result has A2 prone. The bandit has 1 agility below A2, so they'll be knocked prone.
Okay.
So it is the resistance not roll, but the resistance number that they have to beat to not fall prone.
Okay. So
And matching, yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, please continue because I'm trying to
So
grab.
matching it means you made it. If you have an agility of 1 and you get hit with a disability and they roll low, you're not going to fall prone. If they roll mid, you would. And if they roll maximum, it says A3 prone and they cannot stand, a save ends it. So there's still saves. So
Okay.
Okay.
right.
Okay.
This was the hardest thing for me to really like parse, to be like, I don't know what I mean. That makes less checks happen. It's
Yeah.
true. And I like that if you get the max, it is now a lingering effect. Before, you just knock them down. If you get 17 or higher on your roll, not only do you do more damage, but it is harder to resist and it lingers.
Okay.
I kind of like that, but I don't know how it's going to shape up because it's going to be hard to remember. And then that save, right? You're going to have to remember the rule about the save.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden you have to roll a second time. Well, the
so just so that I'm
director has to.
Yeah, just so that I'm clear here. So we're talking about the punishing smite, and I'm looking at now. I think I understand. I think I get it. So basically, every time you
5.
use an ability, there's going to be 3 separate values for success, or there's going to be a scale,
basically.
depending.
Yeah.
But so
yeah,
it's almost it smacks of Powered by the Apocalypse's
Yep.
3-tiered system of stuff. And also I do believe that Daggerheart is using a similar thing. And Blades in the Dark also does similar. Well, no, Blades in the Dark does not do similar. That's right. I need to devoid myself of that. Blades in the Dark is very much a pass or fail based on D6s.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's an interesting addition that I don't think I hate. Like, I would like to see it sussed out in a combat, right?
Yeah.
I think it'll be faster on average and reward you for that high roll more, which is cool. One thing to note, if you roll a 19 or a 20 on the dice, the 2d10, it is a critical, and a critical means you do that last tier no matter what happens. Which, I mean, yeah, you probably would because it's a 19 or a 20.
Yeah.
But that works for every single roll, including in negotiation, including in resisting, like tests, skill tests, and things like that. So that'll come up later, but that's just something to know. Like, a modified 17 or higher is the tier 3, but also a 19 or 20, even if you had a -2 or a -5, who cares? That's still tier 3.
The double bane always brings you down one tier.
Yeah.
So a 20, even with the double bane, would be like, oh, well, that's only a tier 2. It's like, nope, it's a critical. It's a natural crit. So still tier 3.
So it cannot go down. I think from here, just talking about potency, that's another thing, right? Where you're reducing rolls. What is this roll that we were talking about? The power roll.
Yeah.
So
sorry,
power rolls
power power.
Yeah.
However they do that, I don't know.
I like
would do
it.
a thundercrack in the background, but I don't have the soundboard or anything.
One of these days. Maybe not. I think that would be too much power.
Point, if I'm very good. Stop spending my money on magic cards.
Oh, well, that won't happen.
Yeah.
Listen, I can dream. Anyway.
But power rolls are rolling those 2d10. There are different categories of power roll, right? So an ability roll, just parlance here, it doesn't really matter. An ability roll is when you use your ability. Like, there's examples here: Brutal Slam, the one that we were talking about, Punishing Smite, things like that. You roll 2d10, you add what it tells you to add.
Yep.
Cool. A resistance roll is, well, when you're resisting. I mean, I think that kind of makes sense. Yeah. Now, when does that happen? Yeah. Some abilities, some other things.
It seems kind of hodgepodge as to whether or not you have to roll a save. It's not save, resistance.
Yeah. Like, it really depends on the abilities. Like, some abilities give you that save, right? Some abilities don't, because they're just going to affect you for a short time anyway. There's no reason you failed right now because they hit you, right? So it reduces the number of saves. I think that that's fine. I think that there's still going to be a good number of rolls. The next type of roll is a test. It's a power roll you make outside of using your abilities to interact with the world around you, right? So these are like skill tests, and they are very related to skills, even if you don't have a skill in doing it.
They stole something from the Dungeons and Dragons.
Nope.
Nope. I guess maybe. But so those are the types.
Okay.
The way that it generally works is 2d10 plus one of those characteristics, Merip, right? Of course, you're going to use that to remember. Why wouldn't you? Plus your edges minus your banes. What are edges and banes? I'll just hop to that real quick.
So
an edge, go ahead.
Yeah, I love this because as I know edges and banes and boons, I believe were originally D4s.
Yes, they were.
And they stacked. Yeah. And when we first talked about those, do you remember what I said?
They're going to get nerfed.
That it's a whole lot of dice for a game that wants to use less dice and less numbers. Yeah.
Well, not only that,
scale to infinity.
the scaling on it for a game that was like, we're flattening the math from D&D, but you can roll as many D4s on top of things as you have the ability to roll. And I said, hey, this is very similar to Powered by the Apocalypse, and a +1 in Powered by the Apocalypse can be fucking nuts.
Yeah.
I don't think they realize exactly how much they've skewed the math here. And it looks like, from what I saw of the edges and banes, how they work now, I think they figured it out. I think they figured it out rather handily.
If you're following along.
Yeah.
So it's on the right side here. Edges and banes. Edge, it's a situational advantage that you have. A hero or an enemy. Enemies can have edges as well when making a power roll. Example they have here, a standing hero who makes a melee attack versus a prone creature gains an edge on their power roll. But also magic gloves that make your hand sticky might grant you an edge when you're climbing walls. Cool. When you have an edge, a single edge, and here's what you're talking about, James, you add 2 to the roll. That's it. Just 2, flat 2. Now, remember that these used to scale to infinity. That is gone as well. Now, if you have 2 edges, you automatically improve your roll 1 tier. It's got a wrong information in the outline, but it was 3, but then they changed it right before this, right? They were trying to be like, okay, well, it's going to give you a number. Actually, no, you know what? Why doesn't it just take you to the next tier? So if you have, I don't know, gloves that give you some sort of edge on an attack and they're prone, when you roll, it will go up to one tier. So if you rolled and you got tier 1 below 11 or lower, you will then be bumped up to tier 2. It does not do anything when you're tier 3 already. That's fine. You got lucky. Hey, that's fine. That's okay. You had insurance, and now you definitely got it. No problem. Banes are similar. It's a situational disadvantage. So if you make an attack while prone instead of to a prone enemy, the power roll for the attack takes a bane. A rainstorm might give you a bane on a power roll made to climb an outdoor wall because it's slick, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, 1 bane, you subtract 2. 2 banes, it goes down 1 tier.
Philip, does this sound like anything that you maybe ran for multiple sessions and also had a fun time with?
Yeah, just a little bit.
It's effect.
It's
I like it. I think it's a good idea. And they're like, once you hit 2, stop counting. It's just 2. You go up a tier, right? Yeah. Or you drop down a tier.
Increasing and decreasing effect of your ability, which is very much a Powered by the Apocalypse and especially a City of Mists style. Increase decrease, which is good because it's very flat and very scalable. And the nice thing is, as I understand it, Charles, from what I was listening to and read, it goes 1 edge, increase potency, plus 1 edge on the increased potency, increase potency again.
Yeah.
Until you hit tier 3, which is, I think, the highest it can go, and tier 1 is the minimum.
Yeah, the minimum, which is very cool.
So you can still stack those bad boys.
You still can.
It just won't.
And on top of that, you don't have to do math, which is great, right? Like it's not what most games are trying to do. You know, there's a perception that this is hard. There's a lot of numbers, right? D&D has bigger numbers, even though they tried to bound it. It still gets pretty high towards the end. I mean, towards the end of your campaign, which we all know is not level 20, it's probably 10. Because
those numbers still get kind of crazy.
They do. Like you got a plus 12, plus 15 at level 10, something like that sometime. Like it's nuts.
That was one of the things I liked about City of Mist, is that everybody can make a character, and it's really easy to sort of get to the top of your character progression without having to be. You sort of become more broad, I guess, as a character, rather than just being like, oh, I have a plus 17 to hit this thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay,
that's the only thing that matters.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
After a +2, you're going to hit it. So congratulations on the other 15 that don't do anything.
Yeah.
You know, or that kind of a idea that it's like, hey, become a more versatile person, be able to do more things rather than just focus on the I always hit.
Yeah. And, people may feel like, well, I can give you an edge, or I could, you get Bane. I guess that's it. That's all the scaling we have for synergy with my teammates. That is not true. Because there's another new thing, that in your ability stat blocks, or when you have buffs or things like that, you will see a symbol in the book. There's a lightning bolt symbol and a shield symbol. So those are surges and shields, right? Special bonuses that increase damage output, or with surges, or decrease damage being dealt to a creature by shields, right? So what is that? Well, going to their chapter, this is 163, it jumps very far. In the heat of battle, a blessing from a conduit, good advice barked out by a tactician, and a ballad sung by the troubadour can empower allies to deal more damage with their abilities and avoid incoming harm from their wicked foes. So if you have, let's say, a buff that gives you a surge, here's where we don't have to do math, guys, but we kind of do. Each surge, we're talking about the lightning bolts right now, shields are the same, but has a value equal to your highest characteristic score. If the troubadour buffs you and gives you a surge, you get a bonus to your damage equal to your highest characteristic score. So it grows with you. And it's not to hit, it's in the damage after, right? It's not trying to increase. Yeah, exactly. You can have up to 3 of these.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
So at level 1, that's 2, 4, and 6 extra damage.
So your whole team can buff you.
What's your typical best stat at level 1? Is it a 3?
It's a 2.
Is it 2? Okay.
Yeah. So you get 6 extra damage. Yeah, you get 6 extra damage if all of your teammates buffed you, right? And all of them did surges. Because shields are removing damage equal to your highest characteristic score.
Okay.
Which also is very powerful.
I like it a bit more than do we still have the weird reactions thing? Did that get removed?
No, there's some reactions, but not in the same way. We'll see as we get into the abilities. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, they just have shields now.
Because I remember that they basically at one point they had armor, and then they took the armor away and gave you reactions that reduced damage, and it was still very spindly noodly because it's you save your reaction so you don't take damage, and then you deal damage to the enemy. They don't get the reaction you do, so it's like it was one of those things where it's like the math is flatter, but kind of not.
Yeah. And this is cool because when you think about it, it's like you stand close to your conduit, you get a shield. So you have minus whatever your highest characteristic is to damage taken.
Yeah.
That's super powerful. That doesn't grow with the person that's giving you the buff. It grows with you, which I think is really, really cool.
I think that's interesting, but it kind of seems unrealistic.
Sure. Yeah.
Like if a level, I don't even know what the highest level in this game is. 10.
Probably.
I think 10 is where it caps.
Yeah.
If a level 10 tactician was to help shield you as a new beginner, you would only get 2 or 3 points of shield, even though this person is a master tactician.
I don't think that the game accounts for that, right? Because most of the players are gonna be the same level.
Yes, I 100% agree. I just think it would be. It's one of those things where it's like lore-wise, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless it's supposed to be like it's a part of you, like the tactician is telling you how to defend yourself, and because you are new and or weak, you can't defend yourself as adequately.
got an
as they
axe
could.
bearing down at your head, and the tactician's like, suck it up.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can't.
Yeah. So I don't
I'm
know.
level 1.
Just
Yeah.
again, I don't think it would ever really be an issue. I don't see why you'd ever have a level 10 dealing with a level 1 and you would run into this issue. But I could see some games where, either home rules or whatever were like, well, I'm level 3 technically and you're level 1 because you died and had to make a new character or because this or that. Or
that old rule.
I wonder if, and we don't really know because it goes to 10, but we have up to 3 in this playtest right now. It's exciting, but not quite there.
Cool. There's leveling.
It says that many abilities and effects grant you 1 or more shields or surges. I wonder if higher level effects could give you 2. Now, that's not to say that that's that much better, but it would give you the tactics of going, oh, this guy sucks. I'm going to use my biggest protection on them because they are a fuck up. Right?
Yeah.
Does that give us any juice? I don't know.
Oh, we got to know.
I don't know.
Juice.
Right? I don't know if it does. Maybe it does.
You know what I love about this, and this is just me with my. I don't like pointing out that I'm ADHD, but I am. My little ADHD brain gets really excited about the idea of people having little tokens or little symbols that in a VTT that you can give out to other people while you're playing, like little shields or little lightning bolts. And you go, I'm increasing your potency here. I'm increasing your shields here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they go, okay, I'll spend 1, 2, 3, and I'll throw all that damage at this bad guy. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think
that's fun.
Yeah. And the other thing about this is you may gain these for a specific duration, such as to the end of your next turn or while you're close to a person. So it gives you that lasting effect, or like they said, a conduit can give you shields in an aura. So it gives you that on me, right?
Yeah.
Like, get over here. Which is cool. I like that it's intrinsically tied into the system, because when you think about D&D, you go, well, I could do the help action. Okay, well, that doesn't really help all that much, but it does. I can cast Bless. I can give you Bardic Inspiration. There's so many disparate things that you have to track in the way that they do it. All right, so I'm Enlarge. What does that do? Okay, well, that's good for me, but what the hell does that do?
Don't forget to add your D4. What? Yeah, you get a D4 for being bigger, and also you get advantage on strength. So don't forget to roll 2d20 if you're doing a strength check. Okay. And if you're grappling someone, if they're smaller, you get the thing. And this is just like, I give you 2 shields. You get 2. Here you go.
Yep.
Here's some tokens. Don't forget.
Every
you walk
time
away
you
from me,
take
give me those back.
Yeah. So that's another new addition to this playtest. And I think we'll have to see, right, in combat. But I think that making it so visible, making it so easy to track fixes for me, because I have played a bard a couple of times. The problem of, I gave you Bardic Inspiration. I don't want to have to remember that. But if I don't remember that, you don't remember that, and you don't use it. So it's like it never existed. In this, it's so easy, and it's so easy to show. Like, I'm imagining in your VTT, you just show it right next to your token. Like, you got 1, you got 2, and then of course it would automatically do it, but still it would tell you
name,
right?
Health bar, how many things you have underneath.
Yep.
Easy.
Yep. Nice bar. Somebody, well, they're getting on that MCDM themselves, but somebody with more time than I do that on Foundry for me. Thank you.
Nice.
Because I don't want to do that. Please. Please, and/or thank you. The next kind of core thing. Yeah. The next core thing, going back to the outline, is, and going in the right order again, is hero tokens. Is there a right order? There's not. Anyway, hero tokens. What are these? Kind of like inspiration, but not. These are back on page 8.
Yep.
So,
plus
well, 7 level,
actually. And your, what the hell?
It's nuts. It's nuts. Okay, so hero tokens. First and foremost, they are a pool that all the players have access to. It's a group resource, not just for you. Yes, you. who always tries to get inspiration and then forgets that you have it. Not you, everyone. So you start off every session with 1 token per hero. So if you got 5 players, you got 5 tokens. That's cool. Great. Ooh, how do I get more? Well, you earn more tokens by doing, and I quote from my outline, big hero shit. So risking yourself to save others. They have examples: a hero who leaps off a cliff to get to the bottom and aid a friend, who crosses a burning bridge to save a stray cat, or who wagers their most prized treasure as part of a negotiation to get shelter from for a group of refugees, earns a hero token for the group. Director has the final say, of course. So that's cool. That's RP. I don't know that players are going to be hunting for these like teams with attitude, right?
Oh, God.
You're just equipping constantly, right? You're not going to constantly be jumping off of bridges.
I mean, I don't know.
Maybe.
Charles, I seem to remember a certain person playing Exalted.
Here we go. I knew it was coming.
Did you?
I thought it was going to be the 4th edition example, but still.
No. This is Exalted when you're like, okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll run along the wall. I guess this time I'll traipse off the chandelier. I'm gonna flop, or I'm gonna dodge roll under this table and spring up from it. I get my bonus die, right?
Yeah.
Now, in fairness, in Exalted, you're supposed to do that. That's the whole point of the game.
Flare.
Yeah, the flare, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need that, right? But this is more, you're gathering for the group. Now, what do they do?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I'm gathering for the group. We have 5 to start, right? You can only spend 1 hero token on your turn, or per test. So here's what they do.
Oh,
you can spend a hero token, whatever you go ahead.
May I? Okay. So
yeah, absolutely.
The first one that just seems bonkers crazy. You can spend a hero token whenever you deal damage to a creature to deal additional damage to that creature on top of whatever you already roll and whatever surges you already have, equal to your level plus your highest characteristic.
So at level 1, that's 3, but
at level 10, that's 15. Almost certainly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a whole lot when you think about, well, we don't know stamina at higher levels. I'm gonna look at a level 3 probably sensor to see what their stamina should be like, or if it even grows. But yeah, you can keep going.
Yeah.
I would guess so.
You can spend a hero token when you fail a saving throw to succeed instead. Congratulations. You have legendary resistance.
Layer actions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You are a boss monster. You're a big damn hero. Go you. You can spend one when you fail a test or succeed on a test with a consequence. Spending a hero token turns that failure into a success, or to... I don't like the way they worded this. Let me say it the way they said it rather than trying to paraphrase.
Yeah.
When you fail a test or succeed on a test with a consequence, you can spend a hero token to turn the failure into a success and to lose any consequence suffered.
Yeah.
So for either of those, basically there is 11 or lower, and then there's 12 to 16, and then there's 17 plus.
Mm-hmm.
If you roll anywhere from 16 to 1, 2, sorry, you can't roll once in this game. Anywhere from a 16 to a 2, you spend a hero token, 17 plus.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. They're incredibly powerful.
And then...
I mean,
you may spend 2 hero tokens on your turn, or whenever you take damage, no action required, to regain stamina equal to your recovery value without spending a recovery, which is our healing surges in this game.
Yep.
So basically, if you're gonna go out from a hit, you can spend this to pre-heal.
Yeah. And to just give some numbers, right? So, all right, so stamina, we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You were asking about stamina. Okay, so strong. Sensors are strong. Starting stamina at first level for a sensor is 21.
Okay.
Stamina gained at second and greater levels is 12.
Oh.
So at level 2 you're at 33. At level 3 you're at 45.
Yeah.
At level 10 you're 21 plus 12 times 9. 12 times 9 is what? 120 minus 12 is 108.
Yep.
Yeah, 108 plus 21 is what? 129.
129.
Yeah. So you're looking at 129 at high, and of course your kit and other by level 10.
Assuming you don't have
bonuses
bonuses modifiers, which you almost certainly do.
Right. So that's a lot of HP. Kind of,
Yeah,
but that's kind of in line with D&D, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think that's too crazy. But yeah, that's
just
cool.
A free 15 hit.
Yeah, just a free 15 hit to someone who's probably rocking 120 to 150. It's 10% of their HP gone in a hero token.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
You could do that. Normally, you could do that once. Every character can do that once in a combat.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't take long to pull down an enemy.
Yeah.
Wait, so the restriction does not apply to the last one.
What restriction is that?
So the beginning of hero tokens, it says you can only spend one hero token on your turn or per test, which tests are outside of combat stuff, usually, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think what it means is that you can't do the damage one. You can't pay it 3 times on your turn.
Mm-hmm.
You can't choose to be like, I'm going to do all 3.
You can take out of turn.
Yeah.
It's on your turn whenever you take damage.
Okay, so then maybe it's just meant to be like you couldn't.
I think they gave this a surcharge of 1 extra token for a reason. I think the idea is that this is kind of a floating one that you can just do.
Should cost double.
When it costs double, so you're not going to be able to do it with so much.
Yeah. The spending 2 hero tokens or on your turn or whenever you take damage, no action required to regain stamina equal to your recovery value without spending a recovery value. I don't know at level 10. That doesn't grow by level, but it was 12 for a sensor. So you would spend 2 hero tokens and get 12 HP back, which is 10%. Once again, we're around that 10% number, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't use it very often unless I'm going to die.
Yeah. Well, and death is goofy in this game anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Like and I wasn't really going to go into super into combat and death until we play, right? We're going to use that to learn and play. But this is why we play test, right? There's no way to know how good this is. There's no way. There's no way.
My only concern is as the game gets figured out more, as you get with a lot of these kinds of things, one of these 4 things is going to be the best way to spend hero points.
Yes.
And usually based on Dungeons and Dragons, it's the damage one.
Yeah.
And
go
ahead.
I think you're right that when it comes to damage, guaranteed damage is always a good idea.
Yeah.
But I think one of the ideas that Draw Steel is supposed to have is with how strong their negotiation play is in this. I don't think combat is meant to be the focal point like it is in D&D. I think it's meant to be like a half to a third of the game. So when you have 5 going in and trying to negotiate with someone or trying to pass these tests to get stuff done, you want to succeed the test. You want to convince the king to give you resources for some kind of adventure or to allow the baron to let your people cross the land, or whatever. You're going to be it's imperative that we succeed in getting them across. It doesn't matter what monsters we fight, we can take them down. It's if this guy won't let us do that.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think the right answer is going to suss out to be related to negotiation. And one of these things is, we're not going to talk about downtime too much, but there might be power rolls in there, or tests in there, and that would also be where you want it, right? Because you do not want to waste your downtime activity. So
I just want to point out, we have a chat. The Nevik said, or you could just avoid all combat via RP. Boy, howdy, do I have news for you about how RP works in this game.
Yeah.
It's it's social combat.
Yeah, it is, and it's really cool, and we're gonna get to there.
Yeah, we will.
I'm gonna hop from the bottom of this to negotiation when we get there. But so we got hero tokens, you get them, you can spend them, they're cool. That's great. I think it's nice to have that incentive for good role play and risking things. The vice system for World of Darkness, this kind of push you forward even if it's uncomfortable type of thing. Next, I wanted to talk about victories because this is unique to the system. So victories, this is a number, right? You have a number of victories. It starts at 0. Who knew? But you get 1 victory for surviving successful combat. What does that mean? Surviving successful combat. Well, surviving, that is a keyword that I think is going to have a little bit of fun in this game. What do you think surviving combat means? If you just took surviving combat.
So there was this spider
got knocked out?
And let me tell you, it was like this big. No, I'm kidding. They bring that up in the book. They give the bag of rats.
It's not a bag of rats.
Yeah.
Yeah, no bag of rat. No bag of rat. But yeah, I think that's going to be not really contentious. I think that some directors might stick it to you for this. I wouldn't. I think that's a dumb idea. Like if one person gets knocked out of combat, they don't get a victory. I'm not okay with it. Successful combat, though, the last 2 words of it is easy because they say that what successful combat means is achieving your objective in the combat. If it's escape with your life, success. If it is take over this area, success, even if everything else went to shit and you ran away. But if you did do this thing, it's still a victory. But they also have a caveat, which is a fun one. If that combat was difficult enough, if it was too easy for you, you don't get a victory. You're not going to farm the bag of rats, right? Yeah, exactly. You're not just going to punch a guard who has 3 HP, 3 stamina, sorry, and that wouldn't happen anyway, in the face and go, I have succeeded. I have a victory. Nah.
Start a ball brawl just to get experience.
And I think that's really important because when you understand what victories do, that's really where it comes from. So you also get victories. I'm hearing people screaming, even though I can't hear you screaming. I hear you at home going, only combat though? What about RP? Well, they also say that you can get victories from successfully navigating deadly traps, puzzles, negotiations, etc., up to the director. So, yeah, you could have victories from just talking to people. If that's the way you want to play your game, talking to people on puzzles and negotiation and traps and the odd combat here and there, you can. I don't think that's the way this game is going to be played.
No, because usually the victories give you points going into your next combat.
Yes. So that's the first use of victories is, okay, you have some victories. Depending on your class, you will most likely, and most of the classes do it this way, if you have a victory, you will have more resources starting the next combat.
Yeah.
So instead of running out of resources over time, you start to snowball and get more resources over time because you're on a roll, right?
You got to get to that smoking sexy style. Make it 6
You're right,
victories.
and I didn't think about it that way.
you You got to keep switching. You got to keep switching up what your combat triggers are. You got to keep moving around, go to a different enemy, juggle a little bit. Sometimes switch to guns.
Yeah, right. It's a diversity there.
Yeah.
So okay, so that's cool. That's what victory does, but that doesn't decrease your victories. You just get more resources if you have more victories. So if it's a number, does it just scale to infinity? No. I mean, I guess it does. But when you take a respite, which let's talk about that first. What does that word mean? A respite is not a long rest. It is not. A long rest is just a long rest in this game. You go to sleep and you wake up and not really much changed. You didn't recuperate. You didn't really rest. Respite is real rest. And they say that you must spend 24 hours uninterrupted. This is the bottom page 9 on the right side.
Okay.
And doing nothing but sleeping, eating, dressing your wounds, and recuperating in a safe place. You can also undertake in one respite activity. This is the kind of downtime activities we were talking about. We're not going to get into it too much right now. But when you finish your respite, you do your research, your whatever, you change your kit. We'll talk about kits later. All of your recoveries and stamina come back because you've had 24 hours of sleep or recovery, not just sleep. But your victories get converted into experience points. And that's why you want your victories. You want a level? Go do stuff. Which is the same as any other, well, not any other game, but most other games. But then you have to go rest. Go stop doing stuff. Which enforces this phased type play that I really enjoy, I think.
I think it's kind of interesting. It reminds me of I'm not sure if it's 3 or 3.5, but there was one of the D&Ds where when you got enough experience you would level up, but you didn't actually get your new stuff until you went back to town and could talk to somebody and be trained or have a chance to recover and study and do these things. It wasn't just like you're walking through the dungeon, you stab a snake and you're like, oh, I feel stronger now. And you go stab more snakes.
Well, and I mean, one of the things that is always pointed out, and Colville points it out on his channel too, that I think is very interesting to remember is that downtime was a very real thing that sometimes was measured in real life days. And that in very old versions of Dungeons and Dragons, outside of using a spell to recuperate your health, you healed 1 hit point a day.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
So if you wanted to heal to full and you didn't have a cleric that was willing to just blow all their spell slots on you, which were also a little more pricey to get back in the day, you had to go home and sit and think about what you did for like a month or so, because it's more realistic that way, and because these games were based on old campaign things like Napoleonic campaigns. So it's very much a system that kind of harkens back to that of like, no, you don't just get to go to sleep in the dungeon and pitting the door closed. This is not resting. You are still in a dungeon. You need to go somewhere else and chill. I like that they gave it at least the 24-hour caveat. Now, I do have a question though. So like sleeping is not considered a respite. Sleeping is not even mechanically in this game.
Correct.
Not really.
No.
Yeah.
Story wise it should be, RP wise it should be, but mechanically no.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a very interesting thing to say, is like, the game doesn't really account for the fact that you sleep 8 hours a day. If you're a responsible adult, which I'm not, but I encourage everyone else
I
to.
definitely am not.
8 hours of sleep is not heroic.
That's true. We get 2 and a light nap midday.
Yeah, so it's cool that you have to go back home to recover and to take that time to think about, okay, what did I do? I think I know how to do this better now, right? That's kind of cool. It doesn't really answer the question of, okay, I leveled up. Why did I learn this spell? Like really, like why do I all of a sudden know these spells? Look, ignore it. It's fine. Look, it's theater of the mind. We're all pretending it's okay. Please never try to make that work.
Excuse me.
And they didn't.
I have to stop you for just a second because you said theater
Sure.
of the mind with this game, and I want to very
Yeah.
explicitly let everybody know something
Oh,
that
yes.
you love about this game, and that is that at the beginning of this packet, it tells you as you look and say it's time for, let's say it's time for sketching iron.
Mm-hmm.
When you say that, the book, this packet also immediately says, now pull out your gridded map. You
Yep.
must pull out your gridded map.
You need a grid.
100%.
Yeah, there's too many shifting mechanics and things you have to think about in combat, and I would not have it any other way. You're right.
Yeah. So for anybody who thinks they can get away from that somehow, I'm going to tell you right now, this is not that game.
Yeah, this is definitely not the game for that. There are plenty of others, but this ain't the one.
Yeah.
So that's respite, however you want to say it. There are many ways. I'm sure there is a right way. I don't care though. That's cool. I'm gonna hop over characters because there's so much in character creation, but we're gonna go through and actually do it. So I'm gonna skip it.
I do want to point out something really quick about what we were talking about with recoveries.
Sure.
So it's the recoveries
no
are a third of your.
Sorry, you're right.
The recoveries are a third of your total stamina. Right?
Yes.
So
which means it grows with you.
It grows with you. It's actually a decent chunk, and your number of recoveries is
based on your class.
Based on your class. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The classes have different recovery values. Something to bring up about recoveries, because this is 4E, but people don't remember that about 4E. This is your, like I said earlier, healing surges. And the thing to know about healing surges is whenever you use one, you're the one who spends it. Whoever's being healed spends their recovery, their surge, their healing capacity in order to do that. So even, I think probably in this game, we will see, just like in 4th edition, even if you take a potion, even if you do any other sort of thing, you are spending, unless you are spending 2 hero points to get your recovery value for freebies, you are spending one of your recoveries.
Every time. And just to say, we're talking about the sensor as the kind of tanky, which they are kind of tanky. They have 12 recoveries. That's quite a few, you would think. Yeah. But remember, this game is about how far can you go before resting?
Yeah.
Kind of. Right? So those 12 recoveries are going to go away pretty quickly. That means that you can use a third of your life 12 times.
Which is 4 health, essentially 4 health bars.
Yeah, right. We got four health bars, and the last one, when you have no recoveries left, you start flashing red. It's weird.
Yes.
It's weird. It's not written down anywhere in here, but you do. Yeah, there's a noise sometimes.
Very unpleasant.
But it's good to mention recoveries, because that is how you heal, how you recover, right? The catch breath action is an action, right? You have to do it to get to recover stamina. But also, people using abilities can recover your stamina through a recovery.
Yeah.
But the last thing is, you can recover anytime outside of battle. If you want to loot, like if you're at 3 HP and you're like, well, I need 66% of my HP back right now, you use 2 recoveries if you're outside of battle.
You don't have to wait an hour for a short rest to do it. You're just do it.
Yeah. So no real need to do a short rest, right? Just go. Yeah. Take a sec, recover, and keep going.
How effective it will be, of course, is what playtesting is for.
Yeah.
But if you can spend your action to catch your breath, is it one of those things where you're just going to be hit again, sort of like a vicious cycle of like, oh, I'm low on health on my turn, I heal a little bit, and then the enemy goes, well, he didn't really do anything, and stabs you again.
Yeah.
And you're like, well,
this is
damn, I got.
So at least from the playtest packets that I've read in the past, this is where the coordination and teamwork comes in, because if you have a sensor, you have a conduit, they have abilities that do something proactive, and let one of their allies spend a recovery.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can do it for yourself. And I'm sure there will be like sub actions for certain classes that also, besides just conduits and sensors, that do the same kind of
Probably
thing.
troubadours.
Troubadours. I would imagine there's at least one for the tactician because they love the warlord from 4E, and that's one of the things they could do. It was like an inspiring strike. You could hit somebody and help someone else.
Yeah.
There's a way the elementalist can give you temp HP.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at Conduit right now, and you gain the following ability at level 1. Yeah. If you, yes, and you always get it. It's called Healing Grace. You can use once on your turn. It's a maneuver. We will talk about action economy. I was going to do that as we were getting into combat, but we're talking about it as we hit it in the stat blocks, right? So not just yet, but very soon we'll talk about a maneuver.
Yep.
Hint, you could do an action and a maneuver at the same time. Just saying.
Ooh.
Yeah, right. So this is a maneuver called Healing Grace. Keywords: magic, range, distance, range 10. Target, self, or one ally. Effect: the target can spend 1 recovery.
There you go.
So yeah, you can do that and then do your thing. Also, Conduit, their heroic resource, which we'll talk about as we get into it, is piety. And if they spend piety when they do that, for each piety spent, they can choose one of the following enhancements. Target 1 additional ally within distance. 2 piety, 2 additional allies. Great. You can end 1 effect on a target that is ended by a saving throw or that ends at the end of their turn. Just stop being on the ground, please. Right. A target can spend 1 additional recovery per piety that you give them. So not only can they give you a recovery, but if they spend a little bit more, they can give you 2 or 3.
Not bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. You're at full health. I had to spend 2 of my resource on you, but you're back up as a maneuver. So there's going to be a lot of talking, I think, during combat going, I'm down to half. You got me? I got you. All right, I'm going in, which is great.
The tactical side of it,
Yeah.
not metagaming, but the meta analysis of the field and who's going to go and what.
And it's important. It's important to understand where this game comes from. This game comes from Matt Colville, someone who loves to watch his players sit and talk tactics for hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's an encouraged gameplay loop in that in that environment, and it will probably be an encouraged gameplay loop in this game in general.
Yeah.
I am remembering the initiative, the turn order is unique to this, correct?
Yes. So the way that it works is basically initiative is rolled. I'm going to go specifically to it. Combat round. So this is 156. Combat round takes so combat's over a series of rounds, right? Whatever. During a round, each creature in the battle takes a turn. Once every creature has taken a turn, a new round begins. That should be self-explanatory, but I wanted to say it. When does combat start? Combat begins as soon as one creature intends to harm another. That means before the action happens.
So glad we're all taking. I want to take a free attack round out of games. It's
gone.
Not what these games are built for.
Yes, alpha strikes or whatever.
Alpha strikes.
This means that even.
Go ahead.
This is what they say. This means that even before the action happens, a hero can't use their heroic abilities without spending their resources on it, because combat's already begun. Cool. Surprise. So the first step is to determine who's surprised. The director determined which creatures, if any, are caught off guard. Any creature who isn't ready for combat is surprised until the end of the first round. A surprised creature cannot take triggered or free triggered actions. We'll talk about that as we get into stat blocks. Attacks and damaging area powers rolled against them gain an edge, and they have a bane on resistance rolls.
Oh.
So
well, never mind. I'm sad again.
Right. So yeah, it's like, well, you want to surprise them, sure. But it gives you some alpha strike, but not all of it, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, so if I'm not mistaken, I think this game is, we'll get there in a second, but it's player NPC.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so it just means that the player goes and then the NPC gets to respond. They can't do a triggered effect like, oh, you hit me, I get to immediately do Hellish Rebuke or whatever. That was the first thing. You can't just trigger because they got hit. But they still get their turn. They still attack.
Yeah, they still attack. They still can do a maneuver. Yep.
So yeah, the quote unquote the surprise round. All it does is it gives the players a +2 to their attack.
Yeah.
To their damage, I should say.
Yeah.
Okay.
And give
cool.
the Bane to resistance roll.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't understand. Thank you for the explanation.
No, it's good. I think I think that reaction is good, right? Because as we're reading through it, we go, okay. No, they thought about it, right? And I
on
think
the surface, it
important.
looked a little bit exactly like the verbiage from 5e D&D, but this is much better. It just says that all of your cool stuff does not trigger passively. You can still take your turn, but you have a Bane on resistance, and anything that is attacking you before you complete your first turn basically has a little bit of advantage to it.
Yeah.
I get that. I like that. That's fine.
Yeah, not too much, right? So, if there is surprise, then it's very easy. That side goes first. So, if you surprise a bunch of NPCs, your side goes first.
No,
Go ahead.
Well, not side. Just if I'm not mistaken, it's every combat players go first. One player goes first. Then one enemy goes, right?
Unless there's
they changed
surprise.
They changed it. So here's the change, right? So if there's determined surprised, one side goes first, whichever has surprised them. If both sides have creatures who are not surprised, right? The director or player they choose rolls 1d10. On a result of 6 or greater, the hero side acts first. Otherwise, NPCs act first. So they added a roll for some reason.
I see.
But it's unmodified. So I don't know why this changed. Because it was what you're saying, Philip. It was what you're saying. Always character or always player. So I don't know, other than to give the director a chance, right? I mean, I guess it's because people like rolling initiative, which is fine.
Yeah.
6 or greater on a D10. I mean, that's
half. Right?
Half, like, okay. It's basically a coin toss.
Because you have to draw steel, but first you have to roll adamantine. I don't know.
Exactly. But yeah, and then after that, right? Hero side or NPC side acts first. What does that mean? Well, your hero side, if you're first, you go, okay, who would like to go first? People talk, well, I should go first because I'm the rogue.
Will always be the statement, yes.
Yeah, let me fix that. The shadow, right?
Nah, you listen here, you little wout. Never mind.
It didn't look. I didn't spell it like rouge. Right? This is my biggest pet peeve about people who play WoW and play a rogue.
Yeah.
It is not spelled rouge. Stop. G is in a different. Just stop.
It's called ragu. Get it right.
Ragu. Yeah, ragu. Thank you. But then one side acts first. You pick who is the first actor, and then it goes to the other side who picks who is the first actor. Then it goes to the second actor who you have picked. Then the second actor on the other side. So it's back and forth and back and forth.
I enjoy this. But I do want to say, as someone who's run an entire campaign of Lancer, and I brought this up on the channel before, it definitely goes into a certain play pattern that is, okay, we always have the same start off because this is the most efficient way to do it. That said,
the tank always get in first, right? Well,
Nevik, how dare
but it seems like It seems like you would always like maybe start first, like someone gets in to sort of, collect aggro and take the brunt of any oncoming damage. Second might be a damage dealer. But it seems like after that your damage dealers and anyone who can throw out heals would be sort of like flowing through different patterns. It's like, oh, they got hurt. Let me go next so I can do my thing and give them a heal.
Yeah. It's just
It would always
usually what ends up happening in this sort of situation is you have the person that is the striker go first and try to eliminate an enemy right off the rip so that you're already at an advantage.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because one of the other things about it is whoever has more people obviously has an advantage, but they definitely do because it goes back and forth until there's no more people to go back to. So you have 4 players, but 6 enemies, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
Fourth.
Back to the last hero, and then 2 enemies go in order. And then we go back to the top of initiative ish the next round. So the side with the advantage has the advantage because they get to go twice at the end or 5 times if there's a bunch of them, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you start doing this. And I don't know if it's new, but they have this concept of a argument timer. If the players do end up arguing in circles about what to do next, the director can place a timer on the discussion, usually giving the players a warning and 30 seconds to decide who goes next does the trick. If they can't choose by the end of that time, the director chooses a hero to act.
Ooh.
You don't need to do that, right? You don't need to. I think that that's cool that they gave you that right in the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Matt Mercer is about the sweetest man I've ever seen be a DM. I've watched him cry as he murders one of the player characters. And even he, at the earliest days of Critical Role, before everybody knew what they were doing, would slap down a sand hourglass and be like, all right, you have until this is up or you lose your turn.
Yep.
And they were like, okay, hold on. It's like, no, time's ticking. Go.
Right. And there's a lot of that. I mean, Matt Colville is, I don't think that he's famous for this, but I always think of him when I think of how to push it forward. If they're stymied, orcs attack. That's something he said before, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they can't figure out what to do? Orcs attack. You're always pushing it forward. That's your job as the director. Is to keep it flowing.
I think I would have liked, just as it's a little adversarial, so I guess I wouldn't like it, but so much. But I would have loved a sub rule of that one to be, hey, if you can't determine in 30 seconds what you're doing, I get to go again.
Yeah, you could really do it, right? Like that would be fine, I think. There's a dial that you can adjust.
Yeah, mostly because in my mind, that encourages the people to be like, there's bad guys here and we need to do something, or they're going to do something to us. It's like, oh, okay, we should work as a team. Go ahead and conduit go. Someone's low on health.
Yeah, right. We need that first before any of their side moves.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go a little bit into taking a turn. I'm not going to go ham. All right. Follow me on this one. I think, what was it? 4th edition, Move Minor Standard.
Yep. And you can convert down.
And you can convert down. So here we go. On your turn, you can take 1 action. Oh, what's an action? 1 maneuver. Okay. And move your character. All right. A maneuver is not moving. Those are not one and the same. And I'll tell you what maneuvers are soon. You can also choose to take 1 additional maneuver or movement in place of your action. So you can turn your action into a maneuver or a move. So you can convert downward.
Yep.
Same. You can do these things in any order. Great, awesome, perfect. No notes, like that's fine. Maneuvers. What the hell is a maneuver? Because that's kind of different. Is it a minor action? Kind of. All heroes can use these maneuvers, and your class can give you more. Aid attack. That's the first thing that you can do. An ally has an edge on the next attack against 1 enemy within reach of your character. You can move, attack someone, and give your friend an edge. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. You might have more things to use for your maneuver. There's another thing here. Grab. Grappling is a maneuver. So you can move, grapple, and attack. And right? I don't have to tell you that if you grab someone, you probably have bonuses to attacking them.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a cool one. Another maneuver is escaping from a grab. So that's a maneuver. And then you would still have your move and your attack.
And maneuvers, you
Cool.
cannot convert a move into a maneuver, right? Both of them share basically the same action level, and you can only convert an action down into.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
So you can take one action, one maneuver, and move, but you could take two maneuvers and move, or one maneuver and move twice. Yeah.
Got it.
Yep. Another maneuver. I'm almost done. There's only two more after this. Hide. Hide is a maneuver. You could move, hide, and attack. Hide, move, and attack. That's cool. Knockback is a maneuver.
Oh.
It can be a result of an attack, but it can also be a maneuver.
So like a shove.
So you can move, push, and if you still have movement, you can keep moving and do your attack, which also pushes them.
Some real that's why you need a grid for this game.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So knockback is push a target within range. The way that works, just to get into there, because that's one of the first ones that's like, okay, well, how do I do that? Really, 11 or lower. If you roll a might power roll against a target within reach, if you get 11 or lower, you push them one square. 12 to 16 is 2 squares. 17 plus is 3 squares. Does not scale. Does not change. A maneuver knockback can be up to 3 push. And then you move to them and attack them, and maybe your attack has more push.
Yeah.
Cool. People are going through walls. That's what's going to happen. Can't wait. The last thing that you can do as a maneuver, at least all heroes can, once again, your class might give you more, is stand up from prone.
Okay.
Doesn't cost movement. It costs your maneuver. Is that more expensive? I think so, because some of these maneuvers are cool. Right? But if you're on the ground, you need some sort of mitigation. But that also means that standing up from prone is a maneuver, and then you can move your full move. Instead of in D&D, where if you get up from prone, that's probably half your movement. Right? Because it costs half your movement to get up from prone. I don't know. This list of maneuvers is very interesting. And when you think about the action economy, without even seeing all the abilities that you have, that's kind of powerful. I think hide is especially powerful. If you gain an edge or something. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you see the one, I think it's the next page, use consumable?
Yeah, use consumable. Yes.
That's where potions come in. So if you have potions, you can still attack and do stuff while drinking a potion.
Yeah.
A la Baldur's Gate 3.
Yep. Because they got it right. I think. Right. And yeah, there's more niche ones. Make or assist a test. Right. So searching a chest with a reason test, they say picking a door's lock with an agility test, lifting a portcullis with a might test is a maneuver, and then you can move and attack. Searching for hidden creatures, like you said, using consumable, right? That's pretty cool. I think that's most that's the entire thing. All of the things you can do. And you know what the best thing is, I think, because if you're I'm talking to the viewers and not us, because we talk about this every once in a while, how long your grapple rules are in D&D is a bellwether of your edition, right? How hard is it to grapple someone? Just going to tell you, if you're watching at home, it's about, what is that, guys? Like a fifth of a page?
Ooh.
If that, yeah.
Yeah, if that. And it's really, hey, do you want to grab someone? All right. Are they more than one size larger than you? No. Roll your die. Did you get 12 or higher? You're probably grabbing them. You might have some penalties if you didn't get 17 or plus, but that's it. That's all.
Okay.
An escape a grab is similar. 11 or lower, you're still in it. 12 to 16, you can get out, but you're going to get a punch. You're going to get punched. 17 plus, you just get out without the punch.
Okay. I'll take
Easy.
I was looking for opportunity attacks because I figured it was going to come up at some point. We don't have to switch to that yet. We can keep going.
Yeah, melee free strike is a longer way of saying opportunity attack, and you get free strikes depending on your class. Your class will give you a free strike, most likely just your class, maybe your ancestry. We'll get into that.
I think also everybody just gets a general.
Yes, the general.
I threw a dagger. I threw a punch.
Yep, exactly. The standard melee weapon free strike is 11 or lower, 2 damage. 12 to 16, 5. 17 plus 7. I just take a swing at you as you grab me. I'm not going to go through all the actions, but we talked about the action to catch breath or take a recovery.
Yeah.
There's a charging action. There's a defend action. I want to talk about that one just a little bit. Defend action. When you take the defend action, it's an action, you have 2 shields until the end of your next turn.
So hey, they're using that's 4 damage reduction.
Yep. They're using those shields as self buffs too. Very clean, I think. Very, very clean.
I'm still floored by Beacon's use of it's called grid or whatever, but this isn't bad.
Oh yeah.
I'll take this.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
The action economy on Beacon's defender abilities is still, I think, one of the coolest things I've seen in tactical combat to
absolutely.
date. And I hope that everybody starts copying that because it's very good. Shout out to Mr. Gonzalez. He made a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of the system. All right. We said we were going to make characters, right?
Ooh, okay.
How do you make a character in the system? Well, similar to a lot of the other systems out there, there's a lot of options, right? So they have some guidelines, starts on page 13 of this playtest packet. I love that the first step is think.
Same.
The first thing that you should do is think about the kind of hero you want to make. They have some questions to ask yourself. But I think you guys have an idea of what you want to play, and I'll just add one, right?
Okay.
It's going to be, you already know what I'm going to do. You already know.
Sensing a
hold on,
monk?
let me just scroll down to see if I can see if there is so there's a sensor, which is like the paladin. There's a conduit, that's like a battle cleric. There's an elementalist. There's a fear, that we know what that does. Fury is the barbarian. There's a shadow, and then that's like the rogue, and then there's tactician, which is like the fighting class thing. And then they missed a spot. There's like this NA between Fury and Shadow. It just says null value. I don't know why they would have screwed that up, but so I guess you're one of the other things, right?
I guess in this language, null is not falsy. I'm not going to ever do another programming. That's fine. Doesn't resolve to false here, so it ended up here.
Yeah.
So they want you to think about your concept. Let's think about your concept then.
Yeah.
I would like to tell on myself a little.
Yeah, go ahead.
When it's like, do you want to fight with weapons or magic, psionics, or some combination? I was like, ooh, I don't know. I'll go magic. I haven't done that in a while. And then it's like, outside of combat, what do you want your hero to do? What did they do before becoming a hero? Like, what's their personality? What's their job? Like all this kind of stuff. And my first thought was like, oh, magic. What if I make them like a necromancer? And they were like, maybe they used to work in a graveyard or something. And then sometimes I'm really kind of an edgelord, aren't I? I should not do that.
it has nothing to do with anyone watching this, but that's fine because you're just kind of viewing what we would do on a Friday night anyway if we were close enough. Minus a few more adult drinks, probably, especially right now. So
it's just tea.
You say that. It somehow reminded me that I was just at Stanford because your character, right? Remember the character in Mage where you went to Stanford and you were like a doctor and you were like kind of thinking of those Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of have a type, don't I?
Don't worry, I do too. It's okay.
It's not what my character is for this one.
Okay.
My friend Philip
well,
is the person who specifically took a trait in Vampire the Masquerade just so that he could do the spooky thing where you see a cigarette light in the darkness and then a person appear out of it. He literally took, what is it, Shroud? What's it called?
Yeah, oh, now I can't think of it, but it's like Shroud in Place or something, or the Hide in Plain Sight.
Yeah, basically it's a hide in plain sight effect as long as he's not moving. He didn't even care to use that ability outside of just that stupid RP moment. And I could not be proud of you.
Hide from everybody, and then they're like, no one suspects anything. Light the cigarette, and they're like, ah! Just because that's what a private detective would do, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're not going to go through these questions really, but they're great questions. When the book is more out for backers and eventually for everybody, look at this. Like, you're going to make a character, and that's cool. It's a great little outline of, hey, what do you want to be? Second step, though, and here's where we get into your options, is ancestry. Now, I don't know for you guys in that section. I don't have the page number. What is that? 15? 14?
14.
Is it red for you?
It is.
Is there a red button? Does that actually work?
It does.
For you? Cool. So it'll take it. I had to add, hey, MCDM, just a little feedback. I know you're working on it. You're getting all the format. When it's out, hyperlinks, please.
They definitely have it underlined as though it's going to be a hyperlink, and I was so upset when I clicked it didn't work.
Yeah, I know. So there's that, right?
Yeah.
So we start with your ancestry. This is what would traditionally be called race. Look, if you're confused, this is, am I a dragon knight? Am I a dwarf? Am I a high elf or a human or a whatever, right? Let's talk about that first then. So you guys have your character concept. You have some ideas, right? So I'm going to go through the list. The list is devil.
Nice.
Dragon knight.
Also.
Dwarf. Hakan. High elf. Human. Memo neck. Orc. Holder. Revenant. I'm looking at you, Philip. Woad elf. You don't have to play that. I'm just saying that would be usually maybe. Yeah, I know. They're so cool. So that's a full list, right?
Wait, what the hell's a time raider? Wait.
Okay, look. All right. I didn't add it here in this list. Okay. Time raider is there. It is a thing. We're going to talk about it. You know what? I'll fix it.
No, you're fine. No, we can keep going. I'm just, I'm going to read and play along while we're doing this, but what the fuck?
Okay. I have not looked that closely into Time Raiders, but I'm just like, I don't know that I want this. That's me. I'm not going to say nobody can play that.
There's not a dang consonant in half of these words.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have that, and we're not going to just tell you what every single one of these is, right? Like it's a Patreon packet for a reason, right? It's coming out. It's slowly coming out. What I will tell you is that the way that they introduce these ancestries is they start with a little bit of a description, and then they go into a narrative about a character of that ancestry, indicative of how they are and what they do. And it's great. And a lot of these are very interesting and different than normal. So we won't go through all of them, but what ones were you two thinking of when you were thinking about your character? And we'll talk about those, and we will talk fully about them.
So for me, I was
Mhm,
thinking either the elf, specifically
mhm.
probably like the wood elf,
Yeah,
woad elf,
yeah,
or the devil.
yeah. Okay,
Shocking.
yeah.
I mean,
You have
I
a
can only
type.
play
No,
against
it's a
types
good
so
thing.
much.
Yeah. So, okay, so we got Woad Elf and we got Devil that we'll definitely talk about. James, did you have two? Did you have one? Do you know?
I'm gonna make Joan. That's what
Okay,
I do.
Human?
I see a system, I make a human fighter.
that's fine. That's a-okay. You know what? That's good. That's the way. Sometimes that's the way to play test, right? Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
something you understand in another system is a great way to understand that system,
Yep.
right? An archetype that you know. So Devil, Woad Elf, and Human are what we're going to talk about. We'll go alphabetical order. Devil is on page 18.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
At least starts there. Once again, great fiction, awesome, cool stuff. Just to know, a devil, kind of a tiefling, kind of. A lot of things you would think of about tieflings, same. However, these devils are not native to anywhere but they're from where they're from. Tiefling are still native eventually to Faerun, wherever else, right?
Mhm.
Here, no. Usually, a devil character has escaped from a summoning or been stranded there somehow, or they are descendants of people who were stranded millennia ago. But you're still not technically from this plane. You still are from that other plane, where Tiefling, that's not exactly the same. So that's just what I wanted to say about that. And it's got a lot of RP, like, oh yeah, I was stranded here. I was summoned and stranded here. Or no, I am just an urchin that one of my parentage was a devil, or both of them, or whatever else. It gives you kind of that flavor. And I really like that because it's not true of Tiefling. You could just be a straight up devil that just somehow got here and just chilling,
Mhm.
which is very cool.
You were summoned for a pact by some evil cultist, and you managed to kill the cultist because you didn't
Mhm.
want to do what they said or whatever, and you then realized, oh, I can't get back without
Right.
them.
He was
Damn
holding the
it.
door. Oh
Yeah.
no.
Ah, crap. Well, I guess I'm stuck here. So, a lot of fiction on page 19 are the traits that you have access to. I want to say have access to because, hey, guess what? All ancestries are built out of points. Well, not directly all of them, but most of them are built out of points. So, you have options and you pick a couple and you build the way that your devil is. So, let's talk about the things you have access to. Signature trait. This is going to happen for every devil. It just happens. You just have it. Silver tongue. You can twist how your words are perceived to get a better read on people. You gain an edge. We know what an edge is now when attempting to discover an NPC's motivations and pitfalls during negotiations. We didn't talk about negotiations yet. And I
And
don't,
it's social combat that doesn't
yeah,
follow any normal combat rules. So,
yeah.
because it's a brand new system, they've completely built it from the ground up. So,
It's literally completely new. I think that it's worthwhile. It will be a sidetrack, but I'll go as quickly for understanding as I can, right? Because it came up here.
I do think
What was that?
we have talked about
We have.
their negotiations prior, and there are a lot of things that are still the same, but I think some stuff has changed too.
Yeah, it's gonna be quick. Like there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff. Just saying.
Yeah.
But what negotiation is? It is a subsystem. Okay. What it is a system used not to make an NPC act out of character. You're not going to convince the king to give up his kingdom to you today because you came in and said, I've negotiated and I won. No. Um, It's used, and I love the wording here, to convince them that doing what you need is in their character. It's not saying, hey, go do this. It's like, if you did this, it would be right, right? Because that's what you do, is it not? Doesn't that make sense to you? So it's literally persuading someone to help you willingly because you've convinced them that meeting your objectives is a good idea. Working with you is wise or logical or might make them look good or whatever. It's beneficial to them. This is not do this or we'll kill you. That is not a negotiation. Not at all.
No.
This is we need something from you. I think that you should do it. And here's why. Here's my argument, which is a keyword that is used in negotiation. So, how do you negotiate? Well, you start, right? You say, I would like to negotiate with this person about this. You have an objective. We want help from the king to do thing because we need to do it, right? Okay, hey, king, we would like some magical items if you could help us out, right? Or, hey, you should give us access to this place. And I'm going to jump before I get to stat to making the argument because they say that an argument should be fully formed. You should help us, king. That's not an argument. That's a statement. An argument could be, you should help us, king, because your late mother, the previous queen, would approve. That's fully formed. And it could appeal to them, to their motivations, which we'll talk about, which is a keyword. Or it could be a pitfall. They could hate their mother and just bringing her up, it's not great. Right? It's very cool that that's a system. So you have to use arguments to convince them, right? But how do you start? How do you end? What are the rules about it? So an NPC, based on their attitude towards you, whether they're neutral or favorable, or let's just say it, a lot of them are going to be negative, right? Or hostile. They start with a certain set of numbers in their stats for negotiation. So this is a whole nother subsystem. One of the stats, the first stat that we'll talk about is interest. How interested are they even in talking to you about this negotiation? Interests, when you start negotiation, starts between 1 and 4, depending on a lot of things. Like the director could give you bonuses. There's a lot of ways that you could do this. Just so that you guys can follow along where I am, negotiate is page 169. Nice. So it starts when you're in combat. Well, in negotiation combat. I'm not going to say combat with negotiation very much so it doesn't get confused. But when you're in negotiation, you start with an interest between 1 and 4. If it ever falls to 0, negotiation over, no deal. If you annoy them enough that they're no longer interested in talking with you, negotiation over, you lost. Kind of, probably, because there is no deal. If you get to 5 interest, the negotiation ends and they give you a final offer. Like, okay, I'm very interested. Let's cut this out. Here's what I want to do. Yes, I will help you. Yes, and, or yes, but, or no. You can have 5 interest, but you could not really have done what you need to do. There are ways that you could get there. So that's interest. How interested they are. If it ever falls to 0, you're done, son. That's it. Patience is the other stat, right? How patient are they with this, right? So they're interested, but they're like, I just want to get this over with. Or they're not interested, but they're willing to hear you out. That's kind of cool that you have those sliders there for an NPC. Patience starts higher than 0. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it starts lower.
To though.
Yeah, sometimes it starts at 0, but it has to,
Yeah.
0, if you ever actually do hit 0, you end the negotiation with the final offer. I'm done with talking with you. This is what I can do. Whether that's yes or no, right? Or yes and or yes but or any of these things that we'll talk about in a sec. I'll get through them very quickly. That's it, right?
Yeah.
If you have full patience, that's fine. You just keep talking to them. Go ahead.
Please don't do that. Actually, just
Yes.
I
Yeah.
love this system because it gives a gated time. We've talked about this before.
Yes.
But the patience and the interest give 2 time gates to it where either you hit 5 interest and you got there.
Yeah.
Or you hit 0 patience and wherever you stopped is where it stops. And it because sometimes players want to talk the NPC to death.
Yeah.
And like not to actually kill them, but just to keep some players will treat every interaction with a non-player character that they meet as a dialogue tree that if you just keep selecting answers, you'll hit the right one eventually. And personally, as a person who runs games, I don't appreciate that myself. And I appreciate a system that says, okay, there's a lock time on it. You have so many choices, like in certain versions of like Elder Scrolls. You get to choose this many things until the NPC's finally like, hey buddy, go away.
We're done here. Right? My patience is 0.
Yeah.
And I said that they start at values depending on their attitude with you. Just to give you some numbers, just a couple of the most, let's say, common things that you're going to see. Hostile. Let's just start with hostile because you're going to try and negotiate with hostile people. I know you. It's okay. Right? That description, first off, is openly opposed to the heroes barely willing to listen. They start with 1 interest. If that goes down to 0, it's done, remember. And 2 patience. All right, well,
actually fairly patient, all things
1.
considered.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have think that was 1. Neutral. Doesn't feel one way or the other, right? 2 interest, 3 patience. Okay. All the way up to trusting. Hey, I have reason to take you at your word. I will help you if you don't screw it up. 3 interest already, 5 patience. You can mess up a whole lot, right? That's cool. How do we get through? How do we actually do negotiation? Well, here's the way that they say. You make arguments, which is a keyword that I've mentioned before. As part of your initial request to an NPC in a negotiation, you make an argument as to why they should give you what you want. Right? Yeah. I am appealing to a knight's sense of duty, right? Hey, I need your horse right now because I need to get there quickly because I need to save someone. Don't you want to save someone? You have to do you have to be here for your guard, whatever. I could go out there and do it. Give me your horse. So you start off with an argument, right? And like I said, an argument is not just give me your horse. It is give me your horse because we need this to save this and it would look good on you. Or we need to save this person and that's it, right? Because you're a knight, you should understand this.
Yeah.
Another example is helping us defeat this lord is good for you in the long run because we know he's coming for your kingdom after that one. That's an argument. So you posit an argument, right? And this is where we get into the motivations and pitfalls that we talked about. NPCs, this is kind of director stuff here. You set what motivations your NPCs have. So you would set that the captain of the guard does have a motivation of duty or of general goodness. There's a list, but that's not all of them, right? These motivations that they have are things like greed. They're things like fame. Let's see, there's higher authority is a motivation, such as, you know what this person would do? He would lead us through the wasteland. Will you be that guy? You know what I mean? Or, hey, all great creations honor your god. If you teach me to forge this, that would be a great honor to bestow upon you and your god.
Yeah.
Or justice, right? We need to get out there to stop these thieves because they should be punished. You understand that, right? Legacy, right? Power, peace, protection, all of these sorts of things. Basically, if you go into a negotiation with players, you should know what motivates that NPC that is in the negotiation.
And you have ways of finding that out.
Yes. So, as a player, right, you can try to uncover the motivations of an NPC, right? The first way, and I paraphrased, is just ask lol. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Hey, we need this help. What do you want?
What are you
What
about?
would make this work? Yeah. What would make this work? What do we need? Now, an NPC can be unwilling to do that. And that's fine. Or they could just tell you, like, okay, you want to do this? Give me that. Or I would like this. Or I want something that would give me this, right? So you get the motivation of greed or justice or protection or whatever, right? If that fails, you can learn one pitfall, which we'll talk about, their motivations with a twist, or motivation by using a power roll. So here's where you get the roll. It's a power roll, so 2d10, plus your reason, intuition, or presence, depending on what you're doing, right? Whatever you're doing. Only a 17 passes on this roll. 17 plus.
Ooh.
Right.
Hero
17.
points.
Yes, this is where the hero points come from, or hero tokens, right?
Yeah.
If you pass, you learn one of either motivation or pitfall. Lower results can backfire and cause them to lose patience. So uncovering a motivation could end your negotiation by trying to go, what do they want? Right? And it's not all the time, right? It is a lot of the time. Like 17 or higher, if you're trying to discover it, you get it. 12 to 16, you get nothing. But you don't lose anything, but you get nothing. 11 or lower, you get nothing, and they become annoyed, reducing their patience by 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is probably why it starts at 2, no matter what.
Nevik had a very good question in chat. I don't know if you guys saw. Can your argument be a threat?
Yes, that's a great question.
They answer that exact thing.
Yes, they do. And the answer is no, but I want to get to their answer. So limits of negotiation, it should be right.
So it's in 169
the threat of
again.
violence. Yep. So they say in the real world, negotiations rarely come with the threat of immediate violence. Ambassadors don't usually get into fistfights. But this is a fantasy RPG, heroic fantasy RPG, featuring heroes who are armed to the teeth and able to alter reality with their minds. The threat of violence is already implied. Everyone involved knows that the character could draw steel at any moment. Roll credits, I guess.
Yeah, you did.
They got me. The director typically assumes that the underlying potential for events to turn violent is already factored into negotiation. If, however, the heroes decide to bring the threat to the forefront, then they've exited the realm of negotiation and entered into a different type of relationship, and it's probably time to determine initiative. Negotiation is persuading someone to help you willingly because you've convinced them that meeting your objectives is a good idea. It is not browbeating them until they do it. It is literally trying to get them to agree with you. So that question's very important to ask, right? And that's why it's one of the first things they say about negotiation. Now, that's not to say that your director might not have a motivation, like this NPC has a motivation of they're craven, right? And you could scare them, maybe. And you could scare them in many ways. Like, if you don't do this, your town will fall, right? That's okay. That's not the threat of direct immediate violence, but direct immediate violence is not a way to negotiate.
And in
So
this
you go
game, they literally say, and I think this is good verbiage for it. A threatened NPC isn't willing to do what they're being asked. They're doing it on threat of violence and will comply only while that threat is evident, after which they'll likely go back to their previous behavior as soon as they think they can get away with it. So it's saying what's honest is like, you can threaten someone, but remember, you're a band of heroes. They know you're going to go do something else.
Yeah. So I think that there's a
door. They'll figure out a new way.
Yeah, exactly. I think that there's a way to use threats as appealing to motivations theoretically, but more in the if you don't do this, this will happen. Right? Instead of I will just kill you. Yeah, okay. Draw steel. Right? That's not a negotiation. But it's a great question to ask. So when you appeal to the motivation, right? You know, like let's say you've sussed it out and you found out that the king does respect his late mother, and that may be a good motivation, the legacy of continuing his mother's footsteps or whatever else, right? So you can appeal to that. You can appeal to that motivation, right? To try and get it. So let's just say that we'll go through the rules of that later. That's great. You found it out. What is a pitfall? It's a motivation that makes them mad. That's it. It's a motivation as well, but it's something that they don't want to think about, or they don't want to talk about, or they would not be happy if someone else knew about. So let's say conversely, this king knows that their mother had did things that no one else knows, right? Yeah, she was good on the surface, but below that, she was horrible. And you go, your mother would approve. Oh no. Oh no, you hit a pitfall. Well, what does that do? Well, if you hit a pitfall, immediately you failed. There's no roll. Like you go, I will appeal to a motivation. Nope, sorry, that's a pitfall. Crap. So you automatically fail the roll. You don't get the roll. And the NPC's interest and patience both decrease by 1. Remember, getting to 0 on either ends it, so you've doubled your chances of getting to 0, basically, on one of them. So maybe avoid pitfalls. Maybe don't just appeal to random motivations that you think might be true. Probably a good idea. Also, another little thing that they have here is if you're caught in a lie, so you try an argument and you lie. You say, if you don't do this, this will happen, and you know that it won't. And they know that it won't. If they know that an argument that you fail on, and you have to fail the argument first, right? You have to not increase NPC interest with this argument and also be lying. Those are the requisites for this to happen. They didn't follow you on it, and it was a lie. If they follow you on it and it was a lie, you're fine. That's cool. You got away with it. You got away with it. Cool. But if you lie and you get a low result, the director can decide that the NPC catches the lie and is offended by it. Their interest decreased by 1. And also, since you failed a roll, their patience probably already decreased as well. And maybe if you really screwed it up, their patience and interest decreased by 1, and they caught you in a lie, so interest actually goes down by 2. Don't get caught in the lie. Do not get caught in the lie.
Which, I mean, that's a basic tactical negotiation. Don't get caught in the lie.
Yep. Do not.
Maybe don't lie, but definitely don't get caught in
it. Yeah.
Well, again, it's a heroic game.
Yes.
You are heroes. You should not be lying to the people.
Yes.
You shouldn't be trying to lie to a king to give him control of your army or whatever.
Yeah. Right. And it's really cool. So here's one of those things, and you might be thinking, okay, so we negotiate, we put forth an argument. Who puts forth an argument? Anyone, any of the characters there can, right? It's reason, intuition, or presence.
Mm-hmm.
You would want someone with high in those values, right? Probably, but anyone can, like, and you discuss it and you go, this is the argument that we want to present together. Who should do it? You will, right? So it's team based, but it could be bogarted by one character. It could be, right? So that's something to watch out for, I think. You don't automatically have to be the one to roll if you have a high presence. Now you might get pushed into it, or you might have people who are like, I negotiate. So it's just something to think about. I think that this is a fun combat, especially as we talk about combat, a fun system, especially as we talk about what happens when you appeal to motivation well. So we know what happens if you hit a pitfall. We know what happens if you get caught in a lie. What happens if you find their motivation and you try to appeal to it? It's a power roll plus your reason, intuition, or presence.
Yeah.
You get 11 or lower, their patience goes down. Even if it was a great motivation that you were right on, if you roll poorly, you don't get any more interest. They just want to stop talking with you sooner. 12 to 16, their interest goes up by 1, but their patience still decreases by 1 because they're still talking to you and they're still trying to get out of this conversation.
Talking too long makes me eepy. I don't want to.
Exactly. Right? You don't want to get them eepy. 17 or higher, though, tier 3 result, their interest increased by 1 and their patience does not change. So good arguments or good appeals to motivation, if you can get 17 plus, hero token, you get interest, but no patience lost. So you keep pushing it forward. No, you could keep doing this forever.
Yeah.
Not really, but kind of, right? You could get that interest all the way to 5 to end the conversation. Great. Now, it also says at the director's discretion, please don't argue for this. A particularly well role-played or well-reasoned argument, I'm not kidding, don't do this, automatically counts as a tier 3 result without a test. Good role-playing should be rewarded. Good role-playing should be. Good rules lawyering or lawyering in general should not be. Let's not do this, people.
Don't ask
at
if
the
you get
director's
that.
discretion.
It's the director's choice.
Yes. It can happen. Mm-hmm. And you should be rewarded for that happening. But you shouldn't hunt and litigate for it. It should be apparent, honestly. Right? So that's appealing to motivation if you found the motivation. Yeah. Well, what if you made an argument like, you should give me your horse because I also like eggs? What? Okay, it's not a motivation. It's not a pitfall. Right?
To be fair, some people do love them eggs. Not gonna lie.
It's true. It's true, right?
Just a neutral.
Just a neutral. If it doesn't include motivations or pitfalls, the power roll is as follows. Power plus reason, intuition, or presence. Same roll. Here are the results. 11 or lower, their interest and patience goes down by 1. You lose both interest and patience because it was just kind of an argument that, yeah, okay, it's a neutral argument. 12 to 16, their patience decreases by 1. That's it. You still don't get interest. They're just tired of talking with you. Although on a 17 or higher, their interest increases by 1. And their patience still goes down by 1. Unless it was a 19 or 20, natural 19 or 20 with the 2d10s. You add them together, it's a 19 or a 20. Patience does not decrease. You got a crit in negotiation.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, hey,
I do like
plus 1.
I do like the band for crits being 3 separate potential rather than just being a single of a 2D roll, because that does help pop the bell curve at the very top. Just, pop it out, see who's looking.
Yes. Now, for all of these, there is a little bit more rules. Like if you appeal to the motivation that's already been appealed to, the interest remains the same, even if you got a 17, but their patience decreases by 1. Don't use the same motivation over and over again.
Yeah.
And also, if you use the same argument that doesn't have a pitfall or motivation twice, you automatically get the lowest result. So if you go, give me that horse because you like eggs, and they're like, I kind of do. Well, yeah, then okay. Then you should also do this because you like eggs. You already tried that. I'm done with you. Patience and interest goes down by 1.
Yay, it's my boredom rule. Don't bore me with your answers.
Do not bore me. Do not bore me. There's a few other rules. We're not going to go all the way into this. There's like renown that you can have that starts you at a better place if you're famous or infamous or whatever, right? That's cool, but that's the skeleton of the negotiation system. At least the general way that it works.
Yeah.
To throw it back. Oh wait,
Mhm.
sorry, I didn't want to stop you if you still.
Oh no, you're good. You're
anything
good.
to throw it back. That all can be improved if you're a devil,
Yes.
because that is their signature trait. You gain edge when attempting to discover the NPC's motivations and pitfalls during negotiations.
Yep. So you're like, okay, so the last thing that I want to talk about negotiation, we'll do it quickly because they give you such a great skeleton for this, is when the negotiation is over, either by hitting 0 patience or by the NPC giving them a final offer or by you cutting it off, right? The players themselves. The level of interest that they are at is what they give to you. If they hit 0, they go, and I love these, no. And if you end a negotiation by hitting 0 interest, the NPC offers nothing, refuses to negotiate further, and seeks to harm the heroes. Doesn't mean right now. If they don't think they can win, they
I
could
love that.
spread rumors about you, send assassins after you, make your lives difficult.
No, and
right?
I hate you.
No, and I hate you is 0. 1 at the end, if you have 1 interest when your patience runs out, or you just have to stop, or they give you a final offer. If it's 1, they just say no. No counter offer, just no. Now, if there's still patience, they might press you for a better deal. But if you end negotiation at 1, that's it.
Yeah.
No. If you end at 2, it is no. But so if it's 2, the NPC can't give you exactly what you want. No, I'm not going to give you my horse. But I do know where you could rent one. And if you tell them that I sent you, they'll give you one. Maybe that's a way.
Mhm.
Or you ask for some troops and helping to do something, and they couldn't do it, but they could give you the reports on their movements, right? I don't have any troops to spare, but we have been looking into this, so we'll give you the lay of the land. Here's a map. Here's a whatever, right?
Yeah.
No, but I want to help you is interest 2. Interest 3 is yes, but yeah, okay, I'm going to help you. I'm going to give you my horse, but it's not just enough that I like eggs and you like eggs, and we have that wavelength here, hive mind. I also need something else. Like, okay, you can have my horse, but you got to convince my boss that that was okay. You can have my horse, but it has to be back here at this time. You can have this horse, but give me a little cash, right?
You can have this horse, but I need you to go get a ribbon from old lady was. She needs like the top of a broom handle. And in order
Yeah.
to get that broom handle, there's a little mouse. You got to give him some cheese. It's a whole thing. I'm sorry.
Yes, but do a quest. Yeah. So that's interest 3 when their patience runs out. Interest 4 is yes. They give you what you asked for, but they will not sweeten the deal, nor are there any caveats. Here's my horse, go do it. Here's the troops that you asked for. Right? It's not neutral because you've won, but it is exactly what you asked for, which is, well, I mean, that's good. That's good enough. But if you do get to interest 5, they turn into an improv actor and they say yes and. They offer everything you asked for. Go
I'm
ahead.
so mad at you. Keep going.
I knew you would be. They give you everything you asked for. Here's my horse. And also, they will sweeten the deal. So, in that example, here's my horse. And also, if you're going over there, I know this or that. Or here's my horse. And you know what? Take my squire with you. Right? Or not only here's my horse, but you all need horses. I will talk to my boss to try and get that to happen. Yes, and so you want to get to 5 if you want to sweeten the deal. You want to get to 4 if you just want it. 3 is kind of not ideal, but you can make it work. 2, I don't like that, but hey, we got something out of it. 1, well, we're back to neutral. I asked you and you said no. That's it. 0, no, and absolutely fuck you. I don't like you anymore. So it's cool that there are levels to this, and there's a lot of room for RP and director kind of negotiation in and of itself, right? Like,
yeah,
what would a 5 be in this question? You know, I love it. I really love it.
Same. I think it has a lot to the story, or can add a lot to a story, and it gives you a reason to, like, you're trying to build something, but you also know, like, hey, if I fail this, like, we're at a 3. If I roll again to try and make it better, I could drop to a 2, and that's bad.
Yeah.
Or we could just bomb out and be cooked.
Yeah, be absolutely cooked. But once again, the way we got here is talking about devil trade, because I was trying to escape negotiation until we did it in the play test, but you know what, we're just talking about it right now.
But
let's talk about it.
Let's just talk real quick about, no, let's not talk, but I just want to say real quick, it's really important to note that you were able to talk for roughly 20 minutes about the negotiation and the rules for it. And besides, like, L5R, which, I mean, I've said this in the past, this is very reminiscent to me of the L5R social combat system that nobody or at least nobody that I've played with yet has used, and is a real shame because I feel like it has a lot of teeth to it, and I like the idea of having a set meter that you get to track on either side. It's very much like a video game, but also very much something that you can pay attention to, and there's, rather than trying to interpret the social cues of the acting job of your GM, your director, whatever, you can say, oh, okay, we're at like a 1 for patience on this guy, and we're at a 3, and we've kind of run out of things that we know we're good, and we might hit a pit, or their interests, we've run out of how many of those we know. So it's like doing a crafting mini game or something like that, where you're just like, maybe we should quit, maybe we should stop here, we could get a good result at least, or a result with a caveat, but it's better than bombing out and getting a 2 with no patience, because then this man's going to come after our kids.
And that is an option you have at any time after any argument. You can just stop and say, okay, I'll take it. Right? Which is great. I love that too, because it doesn't keep you spinning forever.
Yeah.
But all of that was to say that devils have an edge when they try to discover motivations and pitfalls.
Yep.
Where were we?
Cool. And that's just the signature trait
that's
for the devil.
Signature. Yeah.
So every devil gets that.
Yeah, every devil gets that.
And then you have purchased traits. So for the devil, you have 3 ancestry points you can spend on one, or on the following traits. 6, 7. There are 7 total, and they have different costs. So there are some with 1 point and some with 2 points. You have for 1 point, you have a barbed tail, which allows you to, once per round, deal an extra 1 damage on a melee attack or free strike. You can have beast legs for 1 point. Your powerful legs increase your speed to a 6. For 1 point, you get glowing eyes that will, whenever you take damage from a creature, you can use a triggered action to curse that creature, and you will deal the surge psychic damage to them. Hell sight for 1 point, which lets you see through concealment, and creatures can't be hidden. Then you hit the 2-point abilities, Otherworldly Horns, which are, interestingly enough, a representation of your force of will, allowing you to succeed on a roll of 5 or higher for saving throws. You have a 2-point Prehensile Tail, which allows you to challenge foes all around you, so you can't be flanked. And then lastly, 2 points, you can have Wings.
Wait, they give you Nightcrawler Sword. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's nice.
And the last one is just Wings, which, as what they are, you can fly. There's some downsides, like you don't have any stability, so I guess you can be knocked over. And you have a damage weakness.
Yeah, the same as in the Dragon Knight, and I think that's very interesting that they're just like, hey, if you want to fly, you get a lot of mobility, but you're very open to damage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you can't dodge as well.
Right.
But you can stay aloft up to a number of rounds equal to your might. Before you fall prone.
Yeah.
So you get to choose how you want to spend. Like I said, you get 3 ancestry points. So you get to pick whichever ones you wanted.
Yeah. So it's really cool that you can build it. I mean, you can take 1, 2, and 1, 1, or 3 1s, right? It's kind of pick your own ancestry of what type of devil you were, which is very cool. I mean, like, there's a little bit of that now with Tiefling, where there's sub Tiefling races, Asmodeus, blah blah blah. But that's not really. This is a bit better than that because you're picking and choosing and building, I feel. But that's devil. That's it. That's what your ancestry gives you. Like we had the whole segue into negotiation, but it's silver tongue and then 3 points from your devil traits.
Yep.
That's it. No other stats, no other whatever else, no other like you get this thing or that feat or this. Nope. It's these things. That's all. The other thing you were thinking of, or the other ancestry you were thinking of, is Woad Elf, which starts on 23, but keeps going.
23.
Yeah, so a Woad Elf is basically a spooky forest elf, because a woad is a kind of haunted forest. These are the elves that are like, that's my forest, don't come into it. Also, I'll snatch your kid if they wander too far into the woods. You should fear this, right? They are the kind of guerrilla style of fighting striker elf that says, get off my lawn.
Hide your kids, hide your wives. We are snatching up everybody up in here.
Yes, absolutely everybody. Now, similarly, you have a signature trait.
Terrifying.
What? Yeah.
He just moved the elf out from me. Shh. Okay. Continue, please.
So Woad Elf Glamour is Glamour is your signature trait. You can magically alter your appearance to better blend in with your surrounding. You gain an edge. We know what that is. On agility tests, we know what those are. Made to hide and sneak. And tests made to find you while you're hidden. Take a bane.
Ooh, wow, that's double up.
Great. Sneaky. And then you have 3 ancestry points to spend on the following traits. I love this, right? Forest
less
feet.
Options, though. Interestingly
enough. There are less, right? And I don't know why that is. There's only 2 at 2 and 3 at 1 instead of 3 at 2 and 4 at 1 or something like that. I guess maybe they think that magically altering appearance is stronger. I don't know. It's some calculus that they're doing here, probably.
Maybe they just don't have everything added. They might add more.
Yeah, it's very true. First one is Forest Feet. You can shift into difficult terrain for 1 point. Difficult terrain cannot be shifted into or out of through, because shifting is like a half move that you can use because of abilities and other things. You can't shift through difficult terrain unless you're a Woad Elf and you pick this. Second one is Perfect Memory. Accessing memories is as easy as living in the present for you. You have an edge on all tests made to recall lore. Okay, so all skill, right?
Mhm.
That's cool. That's great. You can be kind of a woad elf that knows this. Swift, speed to 6,
Same as the legs of the
Same.
devil.
get fast.
Yeah.
The next one is otherworldly grace at 2-point cost. First one at 2-point cost. Your elven mind and body cannot be contained for long. You succeed on saving throws when you get a 5 or higher.
Oh,
Very similar to the devil.
yeah.
Yep, same as the devil horns.
Yep. And then the last one is an ability that you get. So it costs 2 points. It's called Vine Cage. And it gives you this ability called Vine Cage that the descripting text is thorny vines erupt into existence and attempt to bind your foe. It's a magical ranged attack. It takes an action. The range is up to, or the range is up to 10 squares. And the target is one creature within those 10 squares. It's a power roll with your might or agility. You get to choose. On an 11 or lower, here's where we get into potency. You do 1 damage, and if they have agility lower than your weak potency, they are slowed. That's the best way that I can read that there. I think that's the best way to understand it. You deal 1 damage because you hit, because you always do. And if they are lower than your weak, which at level 1, right, would be a 1 because your highest -1.
Yep.
If they don't have 1 agility, they're slowed. If you get a 12 to 16, you do 2 damage. And if they don't have 2 agility, they're slowed. At 17, you do 3 damage. And if they don't have 3 agility, they are restrained.
It jumps up from just slowed, which is kind of nice.
Right. So go ahead.
And I do remember reading, you can always choose to use the lesser result. So if you only wanted them to be slowed and not restrained for some reason, you can choose that one.
Well, also the damage applied with it implies that it's possible to murder someone you're not trying to if you roll too high. So I think that's why they let you pick lower effectiveness.
Absolutely, that too. Yeah. So that would give you... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, because sometimes you want to be like, I'm going to spook them a little, and you crit. Oops.
There's a story about that in our disastrous stories, or what do we call it?
It's up on YouTube. You can go watch it right now. Plus the word 1, the number shot the word.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
So those are the options for Woad Elf. So, Philip, you don't have to pick right now, but what are you leaning towards of these things? Devil or Woad Elf? And which traits are really interesting to you?
So I was thinking of, like I said, going with an elementalist magic. And I had an idea for the Woad Elf to maybe go with like the recall lore for 1 point. And then maybe the Vine Cage. Because since I'm an elementalist, probably going green, having another cage or another like earthen element would be thematically good.
Nice.
So that's what I'm leaning. I think the devil could be fun to do, like the resistance for like the horns and the speed. So
yeah, well, I'm writing these down because I'm going to get them into our VTT of choice. Well, it's my VTT of choice since I'm running it, but still, I'm going to get that in there. So, all right, Woad Elf for now, tentatively. Recall lore, Vine Cage.
Correct.
All right,
or
that's
perfect
your
memory,
answer.
I think is what it's called. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, it's perfect memory. That's right.
Yeah,
so we're going to look at human.
Human.
So okay, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I just want to start off by saying I'm looking at human right now and I don't get an extra ancestry point. This game is bullshit.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm with you. I play variant human every time that I can.
Just take away this detect the supernatural. That's icky. I don't like... No, I actually love humans in Matt Colville's lore because Matt Colville makes humans this weird pseudo conduit against arcane or against disturbances to how disturbances against mundanity. So rather than being like this, I am milk toast and I just have an extra whatever the hell I want. what humans stand for, it feels like in the lore that he has established, is that they have this sort of preternatural sense for and resistance to magic, kind of like how barbarians in old D&D slowly got more and more resistant to things as you go in. So we're going to see that as we look at their ancestral abilities. Their number one is detect the supernatural. This is basically divine sense, but just because you're a human. As a maneuver, you open your awareness to detect supernatural creatures and phenomena. Within 5 squares of you, you know the location of any supernatural object, undead, construct, or creature from another plane of existence. Even if you don't have line of effect on them, meaning even if they're behind something. And you know if you're detecting an item or a creature, you know at what type of the 3 things that they give you that creature is.
Yeah. I love it. And I've seen him describe in his other fiction that is like this sense that something
like you
is
can
wrong.
Smell ozone. Like,
yes.
And if you've ever been in a place where like you get that sort of metallic tang up your nose, you're like, what's happening? Why?
What is this?
What? Something's off. And it's not like a gas smell. It's just there's something wrong with what is around me right now. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's like the whole uncanny valley type thing. You're like, this is not quite right, and I know it because I know what is right.
It's Fry from Futurama. Does anybody else smell purple?
Exactly. And that's free, right?
Yeah.
And then you still get to, because all of these you have the purchase human traits.
Yeah.
So you can go ahead.
And all of these, I mean, they basically every single one of these is essentially a defensive ability.
Yeah.
And all of them are very good. First one is 1 point, can't take hold. Your connection to the natural world allows you to resist supernatural effects. You ignore difficult terrains created by magic and psionics. Additionally, when you're forced to move by magic or psionics, you move 1 less. So the resilience traits that I read in this human, as I was looking through them, I was like, what's the dwarf get? And I went over to the dwarf because I was like, usually all of these things are like what dwarves do. But I love that it's humans in this setting, and dwarves kind of get to be like these weird pseudo rock elemental kind of guys.
Yeah.
Next one up for humans is perseverance. Giving up is for other people. You have an edge on endurance skill tests.
Yep.
Just passive edge on endurance skill. So that's cool. My favorite, I think, here is resist the supernatural. Your connection to the natural world protects you from supernatural forces. When you take damage from a magic or psionic ability, you can use your triggered action to gain a shield against the damage.
So cool.
It's just magic. Just I wish this one was called Can't Take Hold, because I love that. It's like magic just doesn't stick. It slides off me. I don't know.
I can't tell you why.
Yeah, the next one up, and it's just I don't know. I was born this way. Next up is determination. Your anatomical tolerance for I got that right. For pain allows you to push through difficult situations. If you are frightened, slowed, or weakened, you can use a maneuver and the condition.
And remember, as we said, maneuvers are in addition to an action and a movement on your turn.
Hey, look, it's that thing that monks could do in 5e, but good.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. You're out of line, but you're right.
Finally, I think quite possibly the most sleeper of everything that human gets is staying power. Cost 2 points. Your human anatomy allows you to fight, run, or stay awake longer than others. Increase your number of recoveries by 2.
One of the only ways.
Just get more recoveries. You're just that much more determined. I don't know. So this really plays into the heroic trope of human resilience. Every single one of these is like I can push past it. I can move through the pain. I can be the anime protagonist.
Yeah. Is that somehow something you would be interested in, James?
It's not normally. That's not exactly the kind of trope I play into when I play. But I'll try it.
Totally not.
I'll try it, I think. I think I'm definitely going with resist the supernatural. And then it's funny because honestly, for most of them, I would always go a 1 and a 2, but for this one, picking 3 1s would just be good.
Oh, yeah. I think so too.
I do I do think. I mean, I'm not going to do recoveries by 2 because I want to see what the base game does. Yeah, I think I just take 3 1s. So it's going to be can't take hold, perseverance, and resist the supernatural.
So yeah, you ignore difficult terrain, or force move less
from magic and psionics.
You have an edge on any test with endurance,
mm-hmm.
and then also you get a shield when you take damage from magic or psionic
if I use one
ability.
of my triggered actions. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's a lot of defense there.
Humans do be cockroaching.
Yeah, and that viewers that's how you pick an ancestry. Yeah, okay. So we took a detour to negotiation, but
yeah,
that's it. There are other very interesting ones in here. I'm not going to go crazy on. There's some, some of you were like, what the heck is a Miminek? Warforge, but daintier.
And technically living.
And technically living, you're right, yeah.
They're clockwork people.
Yeah. What was a polder? I mean, it's a halfling.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be
shadow halfling.
Yeah, shadow halfling, which is very cool, right?
Which honestly, that's just a halfling. It's people are like, no, they're cheering. No, they hide and they stab you in the ankle. Get over it.
Yep. There's the Revenant, which is undead, and very, very cool. Very cool. And theoretically, you can be a Revenant of any of the other ancestries.
Oh, this is the Warlock ancestry. You just get to pick from something else. What the hell?
You get a little bit of it. It's not a whole lot. Like, you get the size and the speed. Well, no, you just get the size.
Yeah,
that's your first signature trait.
But previous life, the first thing you can get on Revenant just says, "What were you in life? True. Pick one of the ones for that."
Yeah, it's very true.
The Revenant is the human of this game.
Yeah, fair. Which is amazing when you think about it. The undead is the human. Who is this guy who's making this again? That's weird, homie.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's also kind of interesting, I think, that they did. So you pick your creature before. So if you were a human, you look like a human. Or if you were a devil, you look like a devil.
Yeah.
But if you pick something like a ponder and you're a small character, it changes how many talents you get. So as a Revenant, you get 2 ancestry points to pick. If you're a size small, like you were a ponder, you get 3 ancestry points. So you take the negative of being small, for more combat. Or I guess you would find other combat. But you get more points for Revenant.
It's pretty freaking cool. And the fiction for this one is great. It's really great. I like reading through that. That's one of the first ones that I read, and it's great. It's really cool. Just to let you guys know. And yes, there's Time Raiders. Okay, so Time Raiders are like, well, you know what? They're exactly what they say. They do have 4 arms.
And like eyes.
Yeah, so 4 arms. And you don't get a whole bunch of stuff, right? Whenever you use grab or knockback, you can target an adjacent creature.
That's sick.
And you can grab up to 2 creatures at a time. Yes, that's really awesome. But they get 2 ancestry points instead. So,
listen.
Yeah.
We all know how I was saying some things are sleeper. We all know from having read through a few of these MCDM playtests exactly how non-sleeper force movement is in this system.
Oh yes,
force movement in this system is hilariously strong.
Yes. So that's ancestry. You pick one of those.
Yep.
Next in line for them is culture. So this is Huh?
I was saying it seems to be more ad hoc.
Yes.
Yes.
At this point, your culture is going to give you a couple of things, right? It's going to give you a language. It's going to give you skills. And it's going to give you an edge on tests to recall lore about your culture and on tests to influence and interact with people of your culture. What is a culture? Well, it's built out of a couple of things, right? And the first thing is your environment. Where did you grow up? In what type of system did you grow up? Just to give you a great example of these things, we'll just go through them that are here, and you can always make more, right? Just saying. First one is nomadic. So your culture was nomadic because they traveled from place to place to survive. They might have followed animal migrations or the weather or whatever else, right? So what you get because of being nomadic is one skill. Oh, if we talk about skills, we're going to take the entire time, but we'll go very quickly. One skill from the exploration or interpersonal skill group. That implies that there are skill groups that are different from each other. So you get one extra skill from one of these two skill groups. We'll talk about skills after we get through this, right? Rural culture, one located in the town, village, or smaller, right? You cultivate the land, or you traded goods, or your service, right? What does that give you? One skill from the crafting or lore. Okay. So if I want to be crafting or into lore, I might pick rural. Secluded is you've come from some sort of hidden or otherwise unreachable, or by choice, a culture that doesn't mix with other people. And if you do that, which is weird, you gain one skill from the interpersonal or lore skill groups. You telling me that since I'm secluded, I'm better at interpersonal things? I mean, I get why you're saying that because I was stuck with these assholes for so long. So I got used to dealing with. That also is a little weird when you think about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a little bit, not a whole lot. And then there's urban and wilderness. That's urban makes sense. Wilderness makes sense. Like, we're not going to go too crazy into there. Urban is interpersonal or intrigue. Wilderness is crafting or exploration, right? So you pick setting, kind of how you were, right? Secluded, urban, wilderness, right? I'm not going to ask you guys just yet because there's a second part of this almost immediately after, in which how was your culture organized, right? How was it led? How was it functioned? Is it officially recognized, right? Is it less formal? The options here are things like anarchic. So you could be from an anarchic, nomadic civilization, meaning that, yeah, you're nomadic and there was no real rules or no one person that led. Now, that means what you think it means there, right? You get to describe how it was anarchic.
Yeah.
I hope I'm saying that right, because it's a tough word sometimes.
Yeah, anarchic is correct.
Yeah, anarchic. It doesn't feel right, but it is. Yeah, and the root is anarchy. What you get from there is one skill from the exploration or intrigue skill groups. So the first choice gives you a skill, the second choice gives you a skill. Two skills coming up. There's bureaucratic, right? What drives a man to neutrality?
What drives a man to be so neutral?
Yeah. There's communal, right? And these all give you different ones. Now, right now, there's only like 3 organization ones, but you could think of more, right? And it's not really like it's that overpowered, right? You just get one skill from one of these 2 groups. If you follow that pattern, as a director, I don't care. I think that that's fine, right? That seems okay to me. What do you guys think? Like, homebrewing these things?
Yeah, I think you could definitely come up with basically a place that you want your character to be from, and then decide which skills you want.
I do appreciate just at the end of all of these, when it gets past upbringing, it's like, but I really want alertness.
Yeah.
If the culture you create doesn't grant a skill that you want, check with your director about modifying it. For instance, you can easily make a case that the martial upbringing aspect should give a character access to the alertness skill, given that the successful in battle means always being aware. It's just...
Yeah. It's
fun. And
it
allows you to better... Hello. It lets you better create your own backstory.
Yes.
Right? I don't know how much of the world one director would keep from what Matt Colville made when he did this.
Yeah.
And, you could do sort of whatever, and you could build your background to fit how you specifically want your character to be.
Right. And the last bit of this is upbringing. So you had your kind of, what do they call it? Environment. You have your organization, and you have your upbringing within that. So let's say we're following our previous one. It's an anarchic, nomadic civilization in which you grew up as an academic. Okay, that can be fine. Like, that's
Sure.
fine. You might be one of the sages. If you pick academic, you get one skill from the lore skill group. This is where it starts to get specific. The upbringing gives you a specific skill or a couple of specific skill. Creative. Let's say you were a creative in this situation where you create art or other works valuable enough to trade. You get the music or perform skill or one skill from the crafting skill group. So this is how you piecemeal it together to get the skills that you want to have. I think that's a very cool system. Um, and honestly, I don't know that you need very many options for each one of these because it is pick 3, right? And it feels so open, honestly, to get to what you want, right? You're like, not that you should often come to a table with this sort of idea, right? You're like, well, I want to play a character that I played in D&D that grew up in Baldur's Gate and there was an urchin and did this. I think that this gets you to that goal better than D&D does easily. Right?
Because there's so many skills under each one of those lists.
Yes, under those groups. So, all right, so we talked about culture. I think that the skill part, picking this and picking the skill we don't need to do, but what sort of culture were you thinking about, right?
So
for each one of your characters. Yeah, for the Woad Elf.
I'm thinking anarchic, the anarchy one. And then probably the creative for the upbringing.
Yeah.
And then the environment
of it.
I think.
Environment.
I don't know. I'm torn between secluded and wild. I have this like vision in my head of a wood elf or the wood elves like having these like tree houses in sort of a large forest, and so they're all sort of like stuck in big trees. So they can get between them, but it's a little more difficult. So they're kind of like families or little groups are in one tree, and then you'd go over to another. So I'll probably go wilderness. I think as what I'm going for.
Yeah,
Not
that makes
which
sense.
skills I'd get, but yeah.
Yeah, it would be exploration, intrigue from anarchy. Creative gives you crafting or music or perform, and then if it was wild or wilderness, you get crafting or exploration. So you could have crafting, exploration or crafting, exploration, intrigue, or any of those combinations.
Yeah.
And we'll get to the list. We'll go through it very quickly after you think about it, James. You're human. What do you think?
Sorry.
You're good.
I already have mine. Rural communal marshal. Jome as a character always starts in a little village and is raised by his father, who is a knight, possibly of some former renown, possibly hidden away, possibly retired. And so he would have grown up in a farming village, which would have a strong sense of community, and he would have been trained basically as a knight from his dad.
Yeah.
Or mom.
Depending. So that's crafting lore from rural, crafting interpersonal from community, and then alertness, blacksmithing, climb, endurance, fletching, intimidate, jump, monsters, ride, or track.
Oh, we do endurance.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because we already have the bonus in it. So
yeah, for sure. If you were following along at home, that was a few skills that I.
Yeah.
Why did I? because there's a whole lot of skills.
Oh yeah. Now,
Whole
we
lot of
don't have
skills.
time to break down what all of these
Yeah, we're not
mean,
gonna.
but suffice to
No
say,
way.
you get bonuses.
Yes, and there are a lot of skills, and there's a little sidebar in here that says, "Why are there so many skills?" And they're basically like, "Cause it's fun." But it's always better to be specific.
Because shut up.
Yes. Instead of having
Yeah.
just one stat like stealth
Yeah.
or sleight of hand that lets you do all of these things, it's like, hey, how about you focus on something and you build towards doing that? And the bonuses aren't that great all the time.
Yeah.
So anybody can sort of do everything if
Mhm.
that's what's needed. You don't have to be like, oh man, how do I get each of these 100 skills?
Yeah.
I'll never be a skill monkey like I may have been in D&D. And it's like, well, that's not the point.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Specialize.
Yeah. Specialize, build a character.
I'm gonna try and do Yakko and the countries of the world with these. I'm not gonna make a song, no, but I'm just gonna go through them very quickly. Crafting is alchemy, architecture, blacksmithing, fletching, forgery. Interesting. Jewelry, mechanics, and tailoring. That's some crafting stuff. Cool. Exploration is climb, drive.
Blacksmithing, you say?
Yeah, right. Endurance, gymnastics, heal using first aid, jump, lift, navigate, ride, swim. All of those are separate, right? That's cool. Interpersonal skills. This is where the first ones that I looked at. The first one is brag. Oh, that's fun. Empathize, flirt, gamble, handle animals, interrogate, intimidate, lead, lie, music, perform, persuade, and read person. I love that read person is a skill.
Person.
I've missed it. I've missed it so much.
God, how glib of them to just take that old verbiage back out of nowhere.
Same verbiage, right? So we got a couple more categories. So there's
Can I
intrigue.
get a sense motive check, please?
Yes, sense motive. Oh my goodness. I want innuendo back one of these days. Anyway. Intrigue skills. Alertness, conceal object, disguise, eavesdrop, escape artist, hide, pick lock, pickpocket, sabotage, search, sneak, and track.
Yeah.
That's why they're intrigue, right? All those moving around doing stuff. Lore skills, culture, knowledge of culture, criminal underworld. Yes. So happy. History, magic, monsters, nature, psionics, religion, rumors, society, and timescape. And this last one is, of course, because we're in Matt Colville's kind of grand universe called the timescape, and knowing about more other planets. You don't have to follow me on this one. It's okay. That's the big setting stuff. But if you want to know about that, there's a skill. That's really it. They also say the sidebar is, are all skills equal? Yeah, let me just tell you, no. That's not. They're not. After you create a hero, they say at the director's discretion, you can swap out any skill that you have with any other skill in the same group if you don't like it. Don't stress. Pick what you think is fun. Director will try and make it work. If it doesn't work for you, we'll switch it. No big. Don't even worry.
I think that's a good idea because you may have an idea, but it always sucks to have a character who you plan for one way, but the story goes a different way, and it's just, this is useless.
Yeah, exactly, right. And it feels so bad. And like in D&D, there's a lot of optional rules. Well, you can't really do this with skills, but sometimes maybe you can change stuff when you level up. Oh, that's so long from now, right? It is what it is. So we've picked our ancestry, we've picked the traits from that, we've picked what culture we came from. Now, here's something kind of like background in fifth edition, but not quite. Career.
Yep.
What do you mean career? I mean, aren't I going to pick my class soon? You are. But also,
Calm down.
what
We're
did you
not
do
there
before
yet.
you?
Jeez.
Yeah, what did you do before you started adventuring? You came
Before
from
you
that upbringing.
before you became a hero, even.
Yes,
Because we
yeah,
are heroic.
that's true. You're right. Before you became a hero, what were you doing? Um, so of course there's a few careers in here you can build more. I don't know that picking we could try and pick these, but there's a lot to do with this and a lot to explain. But what I'm going to do first is explain what one career looks like, right? So I'm going to pick what one seems criminal, right? Well, I'm not going to pick criminal because it's not full. I'm going to pick disciple, page 45. You worked in a church, temple, or other religious institution as part of the clergy. In defining your career, think about the following questions. They always give you these questions. What gods or saints did your institution venerate? Okay. What initiation rites did you experience to get the job? What responsibilities did you have? How did members of your culture where you worked view your institution? Those are just questions. Those don't give you anything. Those are just you thinking. That's fine. Benefits. What benefits do I get? Well, you get some skills, the religion skill, plus 2 more skills from the lore skill group. So if you're counting at home, you're getting a lot of skills here. Even though there are a lot, you will have a few of them. So don't worry. The next one is so I'm not going into it. I'm just imagine what this might be. Project points. How many project points do I get when I start as this career? 240. That's a lot. That's a big number. Project
That's
points must yeah.
that's twice what you get as a farmer.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm. Or criminal.
Yeah. And then you
Huh.
get 1 perk. Is another thing, by the by. Perks are kind of almost like feats, somewhat. We'll look at them. Don't
Will
worry,
we?
we'll go. I don't know. I don't know what time it is on your code. Oh, yeah, it is a
One.
little late on your code. Okay,
It's not early.
it is not early. So these careers, you pick one. The thing that I wanted to talk about, every one of these has an inciting incident of why you left it, because you did leave it. And there are some ideas here, some random things that you can do. So, like, let's say disciple, you roll a 5 or you pick it, you had a near death experience. While serving in a religious institute, you almost died in an accident. When you woke, you lost all your memories of ever having worked for the church or temple. Though the clergy encouraged you to stay, you left to forge a new path. So this is really what happened before you started. And you, of course, could just make it up yourself, right? Those inciting incidents are just suggestions. But there's a lot. So you were looking at farmer, right? Farmer gains handle animal plus 2 skills from exploration. They get 1 more language. They get 120 project points, which is low, and you get a perk.
But they get
And
any,
you're
which
inciting.
some classes don't even get.
Yes,
Yeah.
0. Like explorer gets none. And the inciting incidents just for ideas or like hard times, right? Like, okay, shit happens. Now you got to go, right? To try and find a better life. Your farm was raised. You're cursed. You were bored. Like, there's some things there. All right. So if you pick career, and I mean, you were thinking about farmer. We're not going to go through picking all that, but you were thinking about farmer. And for your wood elf, Philip, were you leaning any direction?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mage's apprentice.
Oh my, yeah, that makes sense as an elementalist, right?
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
You're so
I get the
sick.
magic.
What the hell?
So
What
I
was
get
that?
the
What's
magic
sick?
skill. Oh, what?
I was just saying perks are so sick. What the hell?
They are. They are. They really are.
Can I just
The magic skill,
Yeah,
and
go
then 2 more lore skills. So I think that'll be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Because as an elf, I get that benefit for lore. I get an additional language, which I already would have gotten. I get 1 renown, so people know of me somehow.
Yes.
And then 1 perk from the supernatural perk type. I'm gonna take like telekinetic force or something like that. Basically, it's like mage hand.
Yeah.
But for me, since I'm an elementalist, I figured it would be something more earthy. Like if there's
Yeah.
a pressure plate, I can just sort of like make a rock sort of roll itself onto the plate, or a vine move up to grab a lever if that was going to be pulled.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense to me.
That'll be my supernatural perk. And then I'm going with the oops incident. So while studying magic, I was working on teleportation, which is a thing elementalists can do just as a maneuver. They can teleport. In my mind, you have to sort of work to get the distance. Like, it's not just like as soon as you learn it, you instantly jump 30 feet or whatever. So he was working on that. And while he was training up on like treetops or whatever, he was about to teleport and was hit with 1.21 gigawatts of power. And he's now someplace else.
Yeah. Is everything heavy there? What's wrong with the gravitational field?
Yeah.
I like
it. It says like, so now trying to figure out a way to get back home.
Get back.
A life adventure it is. So
yeah.
I thought it'd be cool if my character is from like a large foresty area, like a great forest, and he teleports someplace else and nobody knows what this great forest is.
Yeah.
And so he thinks he's just teleported really far. Maybe he teleported to before the forest exists or after the forest has stopped existing, right? And so he's searching and exploring and trying to figure out like, where's my home? How come nobody knows how to get there? And maps probably aren't great at this point. So it's like, I guess I'll go over here and maybe it's there.
Yeah. That's awesome. And it would give the director a direct line into it. I mean, all of these, of course, give you something, but also give the director a lot of something.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
To use.
Give all them hooks to hang things on.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what a career is. They give you perks. Perks are kind of like feats. We're not going to go through them right now. We will talk about them when we play. Oh, did you? Yeah. What were your perks?
So I chose farmer. So my exploration perk is going to be monster whisperer.
Okay.
Because farmer automatically gives you animal handling, and monster whisperer says you can apply animal handling to non-beast animals.
Oh. So monsters who are not animals. Oh, wow. That's a lot. That's a lot of them.
Yep. You can use the handle animal skill to interact with non-sapient monsters who are not animals.
Yes.
So non-sapient meaning I cannot animal handling check the demon. Not an animal.
Yeah.
Not he's I can just talk to him. That's fine.
You can try the raptor move from Jurassic World with them, but I don't know it's gonna work.
No, I won't. We're not gonna go there. But so
okay.
But that's the kind of open-ended style of thing. But there was also like there's stupid ones like exploration definitely gives you more than what you would expect from its name. I will say that. Yeah. Because one of them is I'll toss you. As a maneuver, you grab a willing adjacent ally object of your size or smaller, hurl them a number of squares equal to twice your might score in any direction. If they fall, their fall is reduced by twice your might score. You can't use this perk again until you gain at least one victory. Thank God, because you basically get the fastball special your friend.
Yep. Which is, I mean, it's all about tactics, right?
Yeah.
Twice your might score. If it was your might score, that's gonna be 4 at level 1. 4 squares is almost as much as you can move normally anyway. Yeah.
And that's a maneuver.
So, yes.
Daisy chain, polder catapult, anyone?
Polder railgun, yes.
Always a railgun. There's always a railgun. I love
it. So those are some examples of perks, right, that you would get from this level or from this this section of character creation. They're still once again following along at home. You're like, okay, cool. Wait, did you pick your class yet? No, we did not.
Yeah.
No, but kind of. You guys know what you want, right? So if we start with the Woad Elf and Elementalist, this is where we start to get like there's so many options and there's so much that I want to talk about. And I don't know that we should step into this yet. I don't know that we don't stop this and then explain the classes at the beginning of the actual play if we play it, and what you chose and not the options. But I don't know. It's up to you guys time wise. I live in the past, so
I kind
it's
of see what
different
you're
for me.
saying, because like the basics, there's an array of stats that you
Yeah.
can pick. And like, do we go through all those options? I mean,
Yeah.
just
Well,
saying
I
that
mean,
there's an
it's
array lets people know that there's multiple options.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to be able to memorize all of them, so they won't remember them. That you have to see them, and it depends on when you're making your character.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I almost feel like it might be better to just say like, here's the path I took.
Yes,
when we
get
have
there.
that path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to explain it all out, because it is, I will say that it's very gritty. The amount of detail you get to go into, in so much as at first level for tactician, you already get a tactical doctrine that is one of 3 things you can choose. Then you get to choose, what is it, a focus?
You get focus because it's your
Oh
thing.
yeah, no, that you get focus as a tactician, which is your resource. And then you have to pick, let's see, you get a doctrine feature at level 1, depending on which one you chose. And then you get triggered actions based on your doctrine.
Yeah. A field arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
To get 2 kits, which is the thing we haven't talked about yet, which is very important to this game.
Yep. I can mark someone.
Right.
Hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark. Yeah, and that changes depending on which doctrine you pick.
Yeah.
Right.
And so you unlock at level 1 like 12 things.
Yeah, level 1 is a whole lot of stuff. So I think that it might be good to, this is the first part, this is introducing all of those options, right? Yeah. That is basically all of character creation. The things that we have not talked about yet are kit class and kit. There's also optional complication, which is like kind of like these the concept of what am I trying to say? Well, complications in general, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anything calls it anything different. Where these are just kind of bad things that you can take that give you benefits, right? So if I go to complications, just to talk about it real, oh man, they are so far away.
Complications.
Yeah.
Like the Devil's Bargain or the Cursed or Shipwrecked.
I did.
Yeah. Cult victim. So there's a benefit. It's Kiss Curse is a benefit and a drawback. So let's just pick one. I'm going to pick Devil Deal. Your ancestors made a deal with an archdevil that's tied you to that fiend's service. When you first learned of this deal, you were taken to the 7 cities of hell, where some of the Timescape's best minds taught you the ways of battle or magic. The archdevil allows you to use these gifts as you will until they require a favor from you. Benefit: when you're present for a battle in which all the creatures on one side are not surprised, your side goes first on a result of 4 or greater instead of 6 or greater.
Not bad.
Fast. Drawback: the archdevil occasionally asks you to defeat enemies on their behalf. If you refuse, your fiendish patron sends devils after you and those you care about. Uh-oh. Well, you better not refuse. Or should you? You can handle those devils, right? Who do you really care about? Right? Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of elemental inside is another one.
This
I'm not
all
going to.
sounds like free sauce to me. Just free sauce.
Free sauce, and you can make more up, right? And the drawbacks are some of them are mechanical, like punishment curse. Benefit: you have 1 additional recovery. Drawback: when you're out of recoveries, you're dying no matter what your current stamina is.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Hey guys, can we go to a respite? I'm about to die.
Yeah, I'm just gonna die right now. Yeah. So that is optional, right? The perks were not, but this complications are optional, but they're fun. They're just sauce, like you said. Um, but like I said, I think what we're gonna do is kind of put a pin in it. You know what classes you want to be. You want to be an elementalist, and I'm pointing in directions like I know which way either of you are.
You're doing great. Don't worry
James,
about it.
James, you want to be a tactician.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I think as we close here, the only thing that I will talk about is that each class has their own resource that they're following, and some of them work differently. So, as an example, if you are an elemental, you have a resource called Essence. You can gather it and burn it to cast and maintain spells. Essence is very cool. Elementalists are very cool because they have a mechanic in which there's persistent magic that lowers your essence, like caps it basically. And you also use it in combat and you get 2 per turn. And so there's stuff to manage as each one of these classes, right? Like building and spending or reserving, right? Things like that. So that's very cool. That's how theirs works. They generate some, they burn it to do things, and they also use persistent magic to literally like black out a spot of essence, right? And it's sometimes you could drop your persistent effects if you get hit, which is very cool and thematic, and to me very wizardy. But that's there. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I won't go too much into it, but
Sure,
they
yeah.
have 3 essence abilities and 5 essence abilities. Like you said, you get 2 on every turn. And at the beginning, the number of victories you have is how much essence you start with.
Yeah.
So if you've already been in a battle earlier and you got 1, as soon as your first turn, you have 3. You could cast a level 3 essence spell. But I think
Fireball right off the rip.
Exactly. But you also have like this sort of like ebb and flow where the first turn you get 2 points. Okay, well, you can't cast anything with 2. So you do you have another ability called like hurl element, which is your basic, essentially like a cantrip.
Yeah.
So you would throw that, or they have wards, and you'd cast a ward. Then on your next turn, you get 2 more. Now you have 4. You can cast a 3rd level.
Yeah.
The three essence, higher tiered spell.
Yeah.
And then on your next turn, you would do something different. You cast a ward or your smaller ability. You could do that twice to build up to 5, and then do the big thing. And so it's just this sort of like up and down of, you can't just be like fireball, fireball, fireball. Okay, I'm done, guys. I'll catch you later.
Yeah. Which is,
so I like that.
Yeah, I love that each one of these classes have their own subsystem, like you're saying, because it does not work the same for a sensor, does not work the same for a conduit. Talking about tactician, which is what you would like to play, James. They have focus, right? Yep. So you gain focus equal to your victories at the beginning. You gain 2 focus every turn, so it seems right. Well, the first time in a round an ally attacks a target that you've marked, you also gain 1 focus.
Yep.
So you have an extra thing to think about in which you mark things and go, hit this. I need this focus right now. One of you hit this thing. Right? Which is very cool. I don't know. Was there anything that stood out to you, James, about your focus?
I was really enjoying the let's see, it's the battle cry.
Oh yes.
Which is just as an idea. A lot of times what a tactician will spend their focus on is either attacks with extra benefits that are on them or like maneuvers. So one of those examples is the maneuver battle cry. Battle cry says range 10, target up to 3 allies, and I power roll plus reason, which is the fun thing about the tactician is that it is the fighter class, but it is also like the fighter from 3.5 that needs at least a 13 in int, or else it cannot unlock any of the expertise skills. And so, you have might, I think, but then also reason as your two core abilities.
Yeah.
And so you roll power roll plus reason, and if you hit an 11 or lower, and you target up to 3 allies, that person's next attack has 1 surge, which is basically the damage bonus. But if I hit a 12 to 16, which is the mid-range success, it is... Oh, it's the same. So there's really no low side to it. But if I hit a 17 plus, it's 2 surges.
Yes. Which even at level 1 is great.
Yeah, this is a maneuver. It costs 3 focus, but it is essentially me just going... just essentially, it doesn't even really have to be a rallying cry. It can just be like calling out battle maneuvers to the entire team as we're going into combat as maneuver, and then I run up and hit something myself.
Yeah. You run out and scream Plan D, and everybody does more damage.
Yeah, exactly.
But these classes are, even though they're built on resource and victory is replenish it and you spend it, and there's 3 and there's 5, they're so different. They're so incredibly different.
Exactly, Mark. It's a quarterback style.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You're the leader from the front, which is super cool. I have not added on here at all, but I was, if this didn't take forever, I was going to also build a character. Would take very long. The only thing that I'm going to say is that the Null is new in this book.
It's an interesting name. Like, I see why they named it, but it's nobody's going to recognize that until you start describing it. Elementalist.
They're going to think it's some weird warlocky thing, but I don't care.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So the Null, the way that they explain it is the mind is not separate from the body. Perfection of one requires perfection of the other. You're a monk. You're a monk. You are a monk, but you're an anti-magic monk. You're called the Null because you don't need anything external to yourself. I don't need a weapon because I am the weapon. I will resist all the supernatural forces of the universe. A human Null probably is hilarious.
Yeah, that's probably pretty beast, not gonna lie.
Yeah, most likely. And just their resource is discipline. You gain, when combat encounter begins, you gain discipline equal to your victories. Okay, at the start of your turn, you gain 2 discipline. You gain 1 discipline the first time in a round your null field affects a creature. What's your null field? You have an aura, right? 1 square away from you, it hits you and all creatures. Until you are dying, attacks with the magic or psionic keyword take a bane if they target someone within the aura, or are made by an enemy within the aura. Resistance rolls against abilities with the magic or psionic keyword have an edge if you are targeted while in the aura. These effects increase to a double bane or double edge, respectively, if the creature using the ability is grabbed by you. Nice. So you have a field around you that stops magic, and if you were to go and grab a mage, it is a double bane for them to do any of these things.
Why did
you stop magic?
He brought back Grapple Monk. Oh my god.
He did. He did. He really did. And it's a maneuver to turn on your null field. So you can still move, attack, and null field.
Now, does that hits your allies too, though, right? It's not just opponents?
Yeah, self and all creatures. Yeah, so magic, if they target something within the aura or are made by an enemy within the aura. But yes, if the enemy is within the aura and your friend, your elementalist friend, tries to hit them, it's harder because you're nearby. So that's why it's a maneuver to turn on, right? You can decide to not do. Which is fine. That's kind of the team play there.
Right.
I won't go too many into it, but they have the 3s and the 5s, and there's abilities that cost this, and there's multiple things, right? There's a lot of these abilities like stunning blow. You know what that is. you done played 5th edition, or you may understand it a little bit. You know what that is, probably. You know, there's a lot of these sorts of things. And you know, level 2 and 3 are new to this packet.
Yeah.
Sometimes at level 2, you get a limit increase on how many shields and surges you have or can hold. So all of a sudden, you can have 4 of them.
Yep.
Oh.
So
and it varies depending on what like subclass you have within your group. Like as a elementalist, there's like the 4 elements plus void, law, and something else. And each one of those grants you a different thing.
Yeah. So there's so many options, and you know, when you start, you get a number of these abilities. But the build craft here is going to be kind of intense, I feel, which is great. Yes. I absolutely love that. I really love that most of these classes, I got to call them classes and not jobs because of Final Fantasy 14, are so distinct, but so easy to understand from another class's perspective, right? Okay, you got your resource. I got my resource. Oh, you get that extra? Okay, cool. I get this extra. All right, you spend 3 and you spend 5, and eventually you spend 7 at level 3. Awesome. I get how you work. You get how I work. I know how to work with you. I know what it means when you're low on this resource. I know what it means that you just get 2 per turn. I know that you can't do this turn because you only got 2, right? It really helps that group play to understand each other, at least on the surface level, right? Because I don't know how many attacks you have right now when you multi-class. I don't know. Are you waiting for this feat or not? I don't know. Like, and there's a lot of that in this game, but at the base level, it's more understandable per class, I think, than D&D is. But I think that might be as far as we go right now. Just to say, the censor, the null, the troubadour, and I do believe the talent were new in this playtest. So
really,
yes, I do believe so. Because the censor, I always call them the censor, because I don't know why. Are kind of the paladin judgment type person, and they have a judgment mechanic kind of similar to WoW's paladin, almost. Not quite, because you can like hit things with judgment and then they're out, and they have 2 judgments, and you can pull back your bank judgments to do a smite. And if you had 2 on everyone, then you have however many enemies times 2 to use, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very cool. Gonna need VTT help because you need to know what your rolling judgment count is on everything that's around.
Yeah.
So the null is the null. We mentioned that. The troubadour is a bard. It is so interesting, and I don't even want to start right now and right here because there's stuff like you have a partner during this scene.
Yeah.
Like there's drama that you gain and spend from people rolling a natural 19 or 20, right? Because you want the drama to be happening. And they can have up to, I'll just read this. You still gain drama during combat while you were dead and your body is intact. During the encounter you died in, if you have 30 drama accrued, you can choose to come back to life with 1 stamina, 0 drama, as no action.
Huh. That's...
The show must go on.
Okay. Huh. So you're immune to death as long as you're dramatic enough about it.
Yeah, you can kind of feign death. Because if a hero, including you, dies, that's 10 drama.
So if you haven't been spending too much of your drama, you're worried about it. If you get to 20 and then you go down, well, you can come back up.
Yep. Troubadours are a bard that I have I've never seen before. They are very interesting. So that's cool as well. Troubadours. And I think talent wasn't in here, which is weird because talent they made for 5th edition before they made
Mm.
for here. Their talent has like, I don't know, 7 traditions. So instead of like this many subclasses or whatever, they have 7 categories of type of effect that they can use and
Jeez.
specialize in. Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. And like clarity is their mechanic, but strain is the other side of the mechanic. Because you can
Oh
spend
yeah.
clarity that you do not have going into negative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
damaging yourself in the
Yeah.
process, right? As I recall.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, each of these are so different but understandable from the perspective of another one. That I don't think that I've seen that before. But yeah, so all of that to say is that please look forward to us coming back with a couple more players. I have one of them on the other side of reality very soon. Um, with some classes and going through the initial adventure of the Draw Steel packet. And, we'll take the time to talk about the classes and what we've picked when we get there, but then we're going straight in. We're going to illustrate metal.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
we're gonna sketch meteorite.
Okay. I like it. And I'm going to stop there because we're going to run out of them.
Never. I'm gonna have a whole list.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Actually,
but
we
that
could
has.
just make a 2-part randomizer and just click a button.
Oh, yes. Okay, we should definitely do
Yeah,
that.
we should do that.
Just everybody think of as many words as we can think of.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, so we should stop because it's been 3 hours, probably almost exactly.
3 hours and 25 minutes. You're a little off.
Oh, okay. I didn't know when we start. Oh, yeah, we weren't that late at all.
No, we
That's
weren't
right.
very late at all. So
Okay. No, we weren't late at all.
no, we
Completely.
were exactly as early as we were meant to be, just like a wizard or I guess an elementalist in the system.
Yeah, and the system and elementalist, right?
Like your boss at every meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're never late. Meeting starts when they get there.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so no, Charles, thank you so much for doing all the
Oh, my goodness.
legwork for this and getting us through this packet. And I think that I'm super looking forward to actually getting to start doing some of the tactical combat, because talking about it is one
Yeah.
thing, but I want to get that feel for
We
it.
got to get into it.
Yeah.
We got to get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Actually
super
do
excited.
some of the rolling.
Yeah.
Seeing how the different things work.
I'm really
and
interested
mesh
to see. By the way, they have a new Kickstarter that's going.
Oh, yes.
They do, for dice.
That's right, for the dice.
Yeah.
Oh, for the dice, yes.
Yeah.
They also are, I guess, backing someone is making all of the monsters.
Oh,
So
interesting.
if you want minis, it's a different company. It's not technically Kickstart.
It's not them, but
Kit,
it has their
I think.
approval, I believe, is the thing.
Yeah, and it's on Backer Kit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I actually have it open, but I don't know who. Trench Works, but with the works is WORX.
Yeah.
And they will create tabletop miniatures of the hobgoblins, the kobolds, and the goblins.
So,
Nice.
Mark, just to explain, it's going to be fantasy monsters and creatures that you've seen previously, but it's going to have the MCDM flair a la Flea Mortals, but in the system for Draw Steel instead of D&D. So Flea Mortals is action-oriented monsters, and they've adapted those into the Draw Steel system that they're playing, or that they're making.
Yeah.
So
just as an example of something that is not at all in the adventure, we got what are these undead that you fight? Yes, it's an undead that you fight. Their action, right, is dagger dance. Their power roll is 2d10 plus 1 because their agility is 1. It's an attack melee weapon, reach 1 or ranged 5. If they roll lower than 11, it's 2 damage. If they roll 12 to 16, it's 5. If they roll 17 plus, it's 6. Effect: if they're hidden when they use this ability, they can target 2 creatures, right? And then they also have a triggered action. Once again, right? Like that he wants these these enemies to have things, right?
Yeah. Triggered actions are like reactions, essentially, but they have special triggers like reactions.
Yeah. And this one is triggered. An ally deals damage to a target within reach 1 of you. Effect: you make a free strike against the target. So you're kind of piling on. And they are a level 1 ambusher minion. So these are types of enemies that have these abilities, and the harder enemies have multiple abilities and other actions that they could do. There's a just to talk about it, there's a like CR system. Don't immediately throw it out. It's not CR. Is it going to be more useful than CR? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know how you do that. Yeah, we can only hope.
I have played so many games, and I will say this, as far as I've ever noticed, the more tactical a game is or expects or asks the players to be, the more that I find with the groups that I play that we face roll that stuff.
Yeah.
Lancer, Beacon, all those kinds of like tactical games that have really great like build elements to them.
Yeah.
If you know what you're doing and like playing hero style games or like tactical games or any sort of board gaming that has grids, oh boy, you tend to beat the crap out of those things real good. So I'm hoping that the system that MCDM is making treats me more like an adult.
Yes.
I'm interested to see enemies that I should be afraid of. But also, from the look of it, we start at level 3 with like 30-something stamina?
Yes. Yeah, at level 3, you would have 30-something, yeah.
So I'm interested to see exactly how difficult this game is.
Right. Yeah. And, it's interesting. It's interesting because you say start at level 3. I don't
think we do.
I don't.
Do we not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's there's an optional
level 1 has a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's an optional afterwards. So there's 2 adventures, Bay of Black Bottom, and then I don't even know if the title of the second one is it's a spoiler. So I'm not going to say it. Okay. But there's the first one getting there, and then the second one in the city as things happen. And now it seems like you could start the second one at level 2, probably 2, because the first one isn't that long, right? Okay. But there are no rules for that.
Well, there's experience, right? It's experience-based leveling.
Yeah, but it's like you can, but like they were made before playtest packet 3. So anything that changed in playtest packet 3 means that I don't know what Bay of Black Bottom is really balanced for anymore. Right? And I don't know what the next one, which I am really trying not to say, even though it doesn't matter because you don't know how it happened. But that one also said you start at level 1, I think. But that's because there was no other level at the time. So I would love to try even just a danger room encounter, like just fighting stuff.
Oh, yeah.
At level 3 at some point. Just to see that. Because I don't know what the adventure is. I don't know how much experience they would give you. The first one's kind of short. The second one's very long. Very long. I mean, like super long.
Remember, the experience is all based on the number of fights.
Yeah.
So depending on how tough the fight is, it's either 1 or 2 experience per fight.
Yeah. And I just mean the first adventure is like super, super quick. Like there's not a lot of opportunity to get more than 2 experience. I'm just gonna say.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I mean, you could throw it in there and try and do it, but I don't know what it would do to the second one.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's always
But-
interesting. I always find that if you ever try to use the experience system, especially in D&D, you end up out leveling very quickly the spot you're supposed to be in because players like to be thorough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, like the second adventure is like, this is how you do it. There are pre-generated heroes for the other players to run.
Oh.
Well, we're going to make ours. Does that change it? And the pre-generated heroes at the time were a conduit, an elementalist, a fury, a shadow, and a tactician.
Yeah.
Now we have 2 more classes that may or may not be balanced at all.
Oh, absolutely.
But that's why you playtest, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I want to give it the best chance that we can.
Yeah.
I don't want to just be like, let's just break it. That's not quite what we're doing first. Yeah, let's do that later in a danger room encounter or something.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, we definitely started level 1. Not pre-generating characters are going to be interesting, So we'll see how that goes.
Right. Well, I'm looking forward to it. What's in 2 weeks? What's the date?
2 weeks from now should be the 22nd.
22nd. Believe I'm
Mm-hmm.
available. How's everybody looking for that time?
Looking
That should
good.
be good.
Okay, cool. Well, in that case, I guess we will reconvene possibly with another player or two, potentially in 2 weeks. We'll do this again on the 22nd.
Yeah. We'll definitely at least have one more. I would like to try and get to the number that they cite, which is 5, but busyness, the general feeling of the season,
Yeah.
it could chill that. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll figure it out either way. I doubt that the
Yep.
difference between 4 and 5 is going to be something that would be a make or break for us. So,
Yep. And I ain't adjusting it.
you shouldn't. That's not the point.
Yep.
Yeah.
If I
We'll
have to
figure it
make a
out.
DMPC, I will. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty. Well, next game is
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay.
night.
D and Diablo.
We have the D and Diablo. With a brand new party member, courtesy of Billy getting absolutely smushed. And
He took on a Baylor
it did not work out for him.
repeatedly.
All
Glad to
right.
see it.
Now
Yeah.
he has ceased to pee. Ceased to be, not pee. Wow.
I already wrote that I have 120 PP for my human fighter. I don't know what that rating is, but I think it's good.
That's a few.
Yeah.
That's a few.
It's more than 10, and that's all I really
Yeah.
care about. And with that, I think we did a pretty thorough job of discussing some of the changes in this packet and also looking over what the differences are and the interesting features. Hopefully we will have a fun time playing this in 2 weeks from now. Look forward to seeing you all again there doing that. We are Plus One Shot. This is our channel here on Twitch. We also have a channel on YouTube that is plus the word 1 the number shot the word without underscores. Here on Twitch, we're plus the word underscore 1 the number underscore shot the word. We have another game tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern time, Eastern Daylight Time, for D and Diablo, and then I believe the following Friday is it another Splinters of Faith?
Yes. Yep. My game should be starting back up.
All right.
Yep.
Only had to take a break because of the convention.
Yeah, it was big old convention season. So everybody, looking forward to talking again. Looking forward to seeing everyone again. Please feel free to come and join us next time. We'll see you all later. Have a good night.
See
Bye,
ya.
everybody.